All right, welcome to the 7/31/25 meeting of the Flathead Reservation Water Management Board. Calling this meeting to order, and I'm going to take my privilege here, and hopefully in the future we can change this, so we'll do adopt agenda right off the bat. That's just my own preference. If you guys are opposed to that, let me know. So any comments, questions, concerns on the agenda?
I got one.
Yes.
So on 5.2, I'd like to strike that for today. I'm not ready on that one.
5.2, proposed to strike. Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Any others? No. Take a motion to approve the agenda when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Roger, second by George. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Meeting minutes announcement on, for anybody who wants to see meeting minutes of the board are at www.frwmb.gov. Attendance, please.
Clayton Matt,
Here.
Roger Noble,
Here.
George McLeod,
Here.
Roger Smith, here, and Ken Davis absent.
Any conflicts of interest with this agenda, George?
No.
Georgia?
No.
Ken? Ken? Any conflicts of interest? Sorry, Roger,
No conflict.
Roger, okay, none here, moving on. Meeting minutes of 7/16/25, please.
Mr. Chair, I'm moving to adopt the July 16th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion by Georgia,
I'll second.
second by George. Good, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Minutes approved. And, all right, that puts us to 1.7, and I think that was put there for a particular reason. Roger, did you have a lead on that, or
Yeah,
who has that?
1.7, human resource provider. I guess we've kind of kicked this one around a little bit. And it seems like we've been working a lot on the personnel policies and stuff, and adding staff and whatnot. And one of the big items that we don't have a position in human resources provider, because we're naturally not big enough to have a full-time HR person. So I just was gonna resurrect this to see if we still wanted to consider going that way. I think in a previous meeting or two, we had discussion on it, had concerns about the budget. But I really think in reviewing the budget, I think we've got some vacancy savings. And also this would be considered benefits. And so there's money available under benefits, because we're not using all of that money per se, or the employees aren't using all of that money per se. And so I believe there's money in the budget if we were wanting to move ahead with consideration of a human resources person.
We're talking about person or a contract?
Contract, sorry, yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So there are multiple, I think, human resource potential contractors out there. Is there one or two particular in mind?
Well, we've had conversations with Sapphire, I believe. And originally when we started, we had used the firm out of Billings, A&E or something, I think it was. And I'm sure there's others, but those are the two that we have some track record with. So I guess, and have made contact, and they they know us. So I guess those, unless somebody else has another suggestion, those would be the two I think we should at least follow up with.
Okay, comments, questions?
No, I agree with you, that's a good idea. To follow up with the two that we've had contact with.
Okay, process here, how do you want to move forward?
I do have, one comment, if that's okay.
Ethan,
Associated employers did not do a very good job for several of the things that the other side did. So I would consider a different route. Specifically, they really, botched, some of our recruitment and outreach projects they were signed, misranking employee, employees in the ranking sheets, announcing the jobs as like totally remote when they were not remote jobs. But a lot of errors in that.
okay, noted, thank you. So I think one of the things we might want to do in terms of this is if we reach out to one or more, is to have an idea of what it is we want. We probably want to maybe start by just a bullet list of what we consider to be, you know, what we want from an HR firm. So if we take that step and then reach out to one or two firms and then maybe come back with a recommendation at the next meeting, would that be a good approach?
Yeah.
That's good. And, leaning on those of you who have been doing the personnel stuff, is that appropriate for you guys to go ahead and do that? Even Georgia maybe, or one of you?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right.
You know, I wouldn't, I'd like to get one or two staff involved too, so that we hear what they perceive as
Neat.
would assist them.
Yeah.
Sure. So maybe we have just a little tiny subcommittee or something like that.
Do we want to identify them now, or do we want to just think about it and grab them as you need them?
Well, I guess, Ethan, do you have anybody that comes to mind if we're gonna be in office?
I do most of our onboarding stuff right now, so I would, you know, if there was a chance that we were gonna outsource some of that, you know, I would want to be there to explain what it is that we do for onboarding. Otherwise, you know, I don't have somebody specific, picked out for another staff member, but, would be happy to check in.
Rhonda, would you be interested?
Sure.
There you go. And then I would just say, do you want to leave it open to any of the others who want to
Yeah.
volunteer, if they
Yeah.
want to volunteer?
Yeah.
Just in case.
Staff
So
member
if
that's
anybody
interested.
says anything, so in the meantime, when you're ready, if there's somebody else who wants to jump in there, maybe, yeah, without making it too large of a group. Okay. Is that fair, and is that enough on this item for now? Good, good. Okay. All right. With consensus, we'll take that approach. Okay. Moving on. Item 1.8. Announcing Mr. Dustin Walters. So, Ethan,
All right, well, I am happy to let you know that we have a new hydrologist. I'm gonna see if I can get him to go stand up at the podium here and put him in the hot spot and let him introduce himself and, talk a little bit about his background. Justin Walters.
hey Dustin, welcome. Thank you for being willing to stand at the podium.
Yeah, I don't have like a list or anything.
Hey, that's
I guess
fine.
I'll have to like go from memory of who I.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I'm from around here, I've been in Missoula about 27 years, I came there for grad school in '98. That was in 1900s, of course. And I worked for the Forest Service for 23 years. So as a Forest Service hydrologist, I did a lot of different things, a lot of stream restoration, a lot of post-fire recovery, a lot of like culvert bridge hydraulics and design, road design and water rights also was all in there, so. I am familiar and I do have a background in water rights, but I'm also used to wearing all those hats. So, the big difference here is gonna be me just concentrating on one thing and a hat that I've worn, but maybe not as big of a hat as it was before or whatever, so, I feel like I'm pretty well positioned to maybe not hit the ground running, but really learn stuff real quick and be proficient pretty quickly. What else about myself? Yeah, I got 2 kids. I'm a single dad. I got a 16-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. Obviously I live in Missoula. I do a lot of mountain biking, skiing, running, stay active, do some hunting. I don't fish as much as I used to, mainly because my son doesn't really enjoy it as much as he used to. So, yeah, I don't know. What else do you want to know? I'm be brief, but that's about all.
All good, appreciate, just out of curiosity, the water rights portion of the work you did with the Forest Service, did you get involved in the compact negotiations at all?
Did not get involved in the compact, no. I was doing a lot of, some of the re-adjudication. I don't remember the basin numbers, but it was.
Right.
The ones we were working in were, just east of the Divide, like Home State Pass area.
Yeah.
Where I was working, but
Yeah.
and I mean, I enjoyed my career with the Forest Service. I really enjoyed what I did there, and I know this is going to be different, but I'm also like, it's like I do see it as like an honor, like a privilege to be able to help implement this mission. So I think it's really important. It's really cool. So I'm excited about it.
I think one of the other things that came out in the interview was Dustin's got some pretty good GIS experience. So that's gonna be a nice addition.
Yeah, I mean, and initial conversations with Ethan and me just poking around in your GIS layers, I know I brought that skill set here. I didn't realize like at first that was gonna be the main thing I'm gonna be doing, which is great. When I told him, I was like, if you want me to do some GIS stuff, have me do it right now before I forget it. Cause it's still fresh. If we wait 6 months, it's good. You never know. I might have to relearn stuff. So a lot of the stuff he's talking, I mean, there's a lot of potential there. So that and I'd be fine working with the other staff and training them. I think there's just from the little bit I've seen so far, there's some room for efficiencies as far as consolidating our spatial data sets and not having to go to a web page here and there, wherever to be able to process applications. So that's some of the stuff that I'm starting on right now, for sure. So.
Anything else? Got anything? Okay. And well, it's, I don't know if you met her, Clayton, Matt, Chairman, Roger, obviously, and Ethan, so maybe have you met?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's met all
Met all
of
the
the
staff,
staff. He
okay.
started, last Tuesday on the 22nd.
Oh, Brian,
So he's.
and probably haven't met Haley. Haley is.
Briefly met you
Wait a
on
minute,
Tuesday.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Good to meet you.
And we met briefly.
Yeah, we did.
We had a nice pottery discussion.
We did, yeah. Yeah, and I'm pretty good personal friends with Shane, so I actually had quite a few conversations with Shane Hendrickson before I accepted the position, so I feel like I had a really good feel for what I'm coming to. So.
He's still in Ireland?
No. I bet he wishes he was. He claims he's unemployed, but I'm
Well,
skeptical.
thank you. Welcome aboard. Good talking to you, and I'm sure we'll see you around.
Thanks.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Any public comment for items not on the agenda or non-action agenda items? I see no public in the physical audience. Any public online that wishes
Anyone
to?
online has a comment, please raise your hand, and I'll allow you to speak. Say no public comment online.
Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, water policy and procedures. Council and water engineer, take it away.
All right, Mr. Chairman, board members, this first item here under 3.1, This is a reminder, you as a body set some water policies and procedures out to a 15-day public comment notice period. That sections of items that you included for that were 10-102 sub 9, which was a added definition of deed of trust. 11-108, which is some elements pertaining to the reservation water rights database. 21-111 and 112, which are abandonment and abandonment declaration procedures. And as a reminder, you did approve the form so that if somebody wanted to petition to abandon a water right, they could. And these policies would also be needed to implement that process. Additionally, item 22-115, some clarifications about redundant and substitute wells. And then 31-113 for section on fines. During the 15-day period, we received 2 public comments, one from the tribes and one from the state of Montana. Those are included in your packet. And so there is an email from Seth Makepeace and an email printed off from Stanislaw Hoyt. They are very specific to sections of the WPMPs. And if the chair and board would like, we can proceed with looking at each one of these WPMPs. And we can determine whether or not you want to adopt these or make modifications based on some of these comments.
I'm just seeing these, so Ethan and or Haley, have you looked at these enough to recommend any potential changes based on them? I think we need a few minutes to at least look at them. If not. Ethan?
I believe that we could discuss them and at a point where I think that you be able to resolve the comments that were provided, but some of them I do believe require your consideration.
Okay. Board members, how would you like to proceed? Go through them? Have Ethan walk us through them? All right, Ethan, would you do that, please?
Certainly, I'm gonna have city open the draft WPMPs. For, again, these are the ones that went out to public notice. And we're just gonna work through these a little bit at a time, and I will bring up the comments as we get to those sections. Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll just go in the order. And so you can go to the definition. 10.103 section. Go down to the definition of the. All right, so this we had no comments about this particular added definition for deed of trust. And my conclusion at the last discussion was that you felt fairly satisfied with this added definition.
What page are you on?
This is on the master sheet, so this is the page 2 of 46.
Oh, so that's not,
I think the one that you're looking at right now is the new section on the state based registrations.
so that's not applicable to these comments.
That's true. Yep.
So no comments on that.
No comments on that.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions on deed of trust? If not, we'll move on. All right,
The next section that we'll go to here would be 11-108, the Reservation Water Rights Database. And they, a fair number of clarifications about what this office would do in terms of correcting water rights. The comment that we got from the state of Montana is very specific to this section. And they have included proposed language. And so that's this document right here. And they are suggesting that instead of the language that you see here about these statements of claim, there's item 3 is the correction to the water right priority date prior to July 1st, 1973. That they would, that we would offer this alternative language, which I'm hoping you can see, but I'll read it to you. One, there's a title change suggested, which is correction to water rights arising under state law as defined in the CSKT Montana Compact with CA 85 2019 Article 270 with a priority date before July 1, 1973. And they are suggesting the language that says FRWMB staff will only correct the following fields of pre-1973 water rights in the Water Rights Information System database. Virus, owner names, owner addresses, geocodes, and title status reports. Then they have another sentence that says corrections shall not include completing the ownership updates on pre-1973 water rights on FEMA. Our original language just said that it shall be limited to clerical and typographical errors corroborated by the associated scanned claim file. I would be fine limiting the corrections to the fields that the state suggests. I don't know that we need to include language about ownership updates, because that I think is pretty well clarified in the compact already.
in that last sentence.
Yes, sir. But it stands to your consideration. And maybe instead of referencing FRWMB staff, we would keep some of the language where it just says corrections to statements of claim shall be limited to. And then we could insert the fields brought forward by the state of Montana. And probably, I think that will functionally get what the state was looking for accomplished.
Thoughts, Haley?
Yeah, I mean, that to me is the intention of what that section was to be for. I agree, I think the last sentence is redundant to what the compact clearly states, so I think that line could be stricken. And then as far as FRWMB staff, that's not accurate. If anything, it should be OE staff. Those would be my only two changes though.
Ethan? You agree?
Yes, I think we can easily do that.
Board members?
So Haley, I think your comment then is that on the first sentence, of the NRC's comments, you would just change FRWMB to OE.
Right.
And then strike the last sentence, but accept the rest of it.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. I think
Not their comment, their proposed solution.
Yes, proposed solution.
proposed solution, yeah. So, I think it's good in that it adds specificity to it. Is what I like about it.
Stuart?
I'm good with it, yeah.
Georgia? So stepwise, to complete this, we need to propose back to them changes to the language they proposed.
No, so we would make the change, it's substantive in nature, and so that particular section would need to go back.
Go back out to public comment.
Correct.
Okay. Um. Do we want to, take these one at a time in action or go through all these first and then any that need to go back out, we send out together? I propose we do that. Yeah, all at once. All right. Any other comments on that one? If none, Ethan.
Mr. Chairman, board members, this brings us to the next section, which is WPMP 21-111 and 112. Abandonment and abandonment declaration procedures. You'll remember there were 5 clarifications that we had put forward to the public notice. And one was talking about the evidence of non-use. One, failure to maintain a operable diversion. One, proof of an agreement of contract. Then under the procedures, we made some clarifications about evidence of injury and evidence of water supply. One of the comments from the tribes in the set Makepeace letter does pertain to 21-112. I'll read this to the board members. This procedure, as it relates to water supply, appears to expand beyond UAMO sections 2.1, 111, and 112 by bringing the condition of a water supply in a water right abandonment proceeding. The circumstances related to a reduction in the water supply may be varied and include climatic trends, operation of senior priority dates, water right holders in the source of supply, and other variables. The conditions related to a change of reduction of water supply may be further complicated by the influence of fifth diversions across the reservation and water conservation practices associated with fifth that may reduce waste and seepage. Facts related to a petitioner claiming reduction in water supply may be addressed through the hearing process, but the general nature of the draft WPMP may allow for entry into an abandonment proceedings based on a circumstance that is separate from a specific proceeding.
Now on the screen, is that the full language of current 112?
Yes, sir. So the WPMP is really just contemplated, two items under 112. And these are things that I specifically hope to get into, our record so that the focus, for purposes of an abandonment procedure, hearing on abandonment, would not get bogged down in trying to determine evidence of injury or evidence of water supply.
And focusing on, the tribe's comments, your interpretation of what that means for item number 2. What are they saying?
I think that they're saying that the water supply under item number 2, could be reduced for and unavailable for an array of different considerations beyond, just the supply. And specifically the operation of the water.
And I admit I don't recall all of the discussion we had last time on this before we sent it out, but I think, Roger, you had some thoughts on
Well, I guess, I
at
don't,
that time?
yeah, at that time, I guess I'm always concerned about abandonment. In reading Seth's comment, and his reference to the compact on 2-1-111 and 2-112. I guess I'm trying to understand what, he didn't give us a recommendation as to what he wanted. To me, it sounds like his recommendation is almost to strike that, because when you look at those two sections of the compact, 2-1-12 procedure for declaring abandonment, I had not looked at this until now, is a page and a half long. There's a lot of detail here. And the section on 2-111, abandonment of appropriation right. It's a half a page long, and it has a lot of detail too in it. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what he wants, but as far as the procedure for declaring abandonment, I think that the compact pretty well covers that because of the extensive verbiage.
And the verbiage in there is probably largely procedural.
Yeah, it is.
So in other words, if somebody says purpose of a petitioner claiming reduced water supply, that's the petitioner. What we consider prima facie evidence of reduced water supply does not mean that automatically results in abandonment. It means that there is a procedure we'll go through to verify that. And that's what,
Yeah, and those 1 and 2 under these WPMPs are very specific to the petitioner, so they don't absolve or resolve anything pertaining to 2-1-111 of the ordinance, which states that if a water right is not used for 10 years and water was available, that would be grounds for abandonment. And so I again didn't want to have to get bogged down by the petitioner having to come in with a whole bunch of information. that I think is ancillary to the issue, the real issue, that the ordinance sets forward on when a water right would be abandoned. Now, we do make a clarification about that statement under 2 here. And that was, I was looking for a clarification that if the water user just failed to maintain their head gauge, that does not equate with water not being available. So that is just a clarification that I thought was needed before we could fully implement those pages of the ordinance. Additionally, I wanted to make clarification about what evidence of non-use would be, such as the air photos here. If anything, I might make one more change, just say instead of photographs, imagery. But it does say it for other evidence, so we're pretty good.
Both the section and ordinance.
Yeah, I think that'd be appropriate. I think after looking at the ordinance, it's pretty explicit. And then some of that, let me ask you this, so why didn't you just reference the ordinance instead of adding these modifications?
These are intended to, be clarifications about the ordinance. This does not replace the ordinance section on abandonment, right? Or rewriting it, that it just makes clarifications about some facets of the ordinance that I think needed clarification for us to be able to actually move forward with making a determination based on the ordinance. So getting a little clarification on what evidence non-use would be, getting some clarification on failure to maintain an operative version, getting clarification on those contracts, like stating that somebody would have to provide the contract if they were going to use that clause of the ordinance to explain why they had not used water. Can you pull the ordinance up for
Seth's memo, he talks, about with FIP, that they're gonna be modifying canals and whatnot. And so,
So,
which could create a reduction in water supply.
yeah, what I'm wondering is if maybe his reading, I'm wondering if maybe his reading is a misinterpretation of what that says. As it says, the facts related to a petitioner claiming reduction. Petitioner is not going to claim a reduction. It's the applicant that's going to claim the reduction. It's the water user that's going to claim the reduction. And this is saying, and what you're trying to say is that the water user claiming a reduction.
Well, I do think it will be a substantive part of the hearing for the water user who owns the water right that's being petitioned to be abandoned, that they would come in and discuss the issue of water supply. If they are citing that the reason the 10 years has gone by was that the water was not available, and at that point, that would now become part of, evidence that would be part of the hearing. I do not, however, need the petitioner, person who says this water right should be abandoned, to provide any information about water supply. That is like trying to make a really clear pathway on what we're gonna be talking about, and it would be the burden of the person who owns the water right to demonstrate that water was not available for them.
Which means a petitioner wouldn't be claiming,
That's correct.
which is why I'm saying, I'm wondering if there's a misunderstanding. It says the facts related to a petitioner claiming a reduction in water supply. Which probably wouldn't happen.
I kind of read it the way that you did, but I did not have a chance to talk with Seth about this. Beforehand.
Well, if we make any change to this, it's gotta go back out for another 15 days anyway. How would we change this? What would the result of this be to change the language? And I agree with Roger is the implication without saying, because he doesn't say a solution, the implication without saying is that we drop that. Without further information, I don't know, I'm ready to drop it. I mean, what do
Yeah, that's what I think.
you guys?
Just as a reminder, we have this section in here because we got a fair amount of pressure to have those procedures.
Procedure for
So just to let you know, that's why, just as a reminder, that's why this is in front of you now.
Thoughts, Haley?
So, I mean, my suggestion would be to have the board, keep this particular subsection aside for right now. Whether there's other WPMPs the board wants to approve for today to be in use, that's fine. I think this needs more clarification from the, public comment, to understand what the solution would be, if any, right? Because it could just be misunderstanding, of what was going on. As a reminder, I believe the intention of that language was to make the process of, submitting a petition for abandonment easier on the petitioner. Because there's a lot of misunderstanding of what do I need to prove to the office to get them to listen to my concerns. And so that was, I believe, what the intention was to make it less of a burden on the petitioner because it is not their burden to prove anything. It would be on the water user who is apparently had abandoned their water right to prove against the burden. So, that would be the intent of that. My feeling on, as far as the pressure to get it out, I disagree with. This particular subsection does not necessarily negate somebody from filing a petition and it coming before the office and the engineer hearing that particular information. Yes, it's helpful, maybe, for the engineer's use, but it doesn't negate it or dissuade somebody from, filing something or the engineer from hearing that information.
So, until then, though, if somebody wants to file something, do we have, what's the mechanism to do that? And what mechanism do we provide them to do that so that it's clear that they can?
Yeah, I mean, so the board approved the petition form, at the last meeting, so somebody could file a petition. And then there are the procedures that are very robust within the ordinance. I mean, that's why the section of WPMPs was not that robust, because the procedures within the ordinance are. So there's not much that we need to clarify.
Within the section in his comment is related to 21-112. Is there something in there related to water supply?
Yeah, I mean, in 111, one of the factors for abandonment is not only the 10 successive years, but it's if water was available for use. So that's my very, very conjectural understanding of what this public comment might have been related to, is the kind of two-factor piece of abandonment, that there needs to be water available to use. So that would be the relatedness to that, but I also don't necessarily 100% understand the public comments.
Yeah, apparently, so, as an option, we have an option to set it aside and seek further clarification of those public comments. And so, that, I guess, at this moment makes sense to me, board members, and then Ethan. And how does that work for you?
I have mixed feelings about it. Part of me just wants to move forward and get some stuff done. And frankly, I mean, so yeah, we're at the administrative end of things, so we tend to get a little focused.
Yeah.
That's why I think your direction on this is probably needed. If it was up to me, I think I would probably just move forward with this section of the WPPs, but I also am happy to seek additional information. If we had gotten something really specific like we did from the state, I want you to be corrected or something more clarified. I might have to give it a take on it.
But from a processing standpoint, what Haley is saying is that there's nothing stopping somebody from filing a petition with you right now.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of. I think it's interesting that I would be in the middle of possibly a proceeding that has active policy moving forward directly related to that proceeding. So that part makes me.
Well, let me ask you this though, given the fact that we have approved a form and we have ordinance language, if we didn't do anything else, is that adequate for you? Is that adequate for you to proceed? I mean, because the language we're putting out here, the language we have out for public comment, if that's meant for clarification, that doesn't change anything in the ordinance, as you said.
It's true, right?
As a reminder, it's just that one subsection. There's the
Yeah.
other subsections that were added to the WPP stuff that we're good for today.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Roger?
Yeah, I'm okay with tabling this for. Till we get. More.
Clarification? Clarification, yeah, okay. So, what clarification do we want? Do we want them to clarify his comment, or do we want them to provide a proposed solution?
Yeah, for what, yeah.
Or both?
Both, yeah.
Okay. So clarify his comment and provide a proposed solution. Sarah?
Yeah, can we go further and just ask that whenever we are receiving these kinds of comments, the proposed substitute language just be part of the comment? Is that a fair request? Or does that make sense?
I would not want to put that burden on necessarily a layperson, right? I think somebody like Seth who has a vast knowledge of this area, we probably could request that of him. But no, just like a landowner who wants to say, I really don't like this, no, I don't think that's a good solution for that, but somebody like Seth, yeah.
I guess that's what I was thinking of. When we get comments from the state and from the tribes, I think it's fair to request that they also provide substantive substitute language so that there isn't this need to go through another iteration in case there is a misunderstanding. I know Seth's plate's full. He's probably had 20 things he had to get off his desk that day, but a gentle reminder. might be helpful.
Yeah, I don't know how we do that when you're putting out public comment, other than to say upfront. State or, I don't know
I
who,
don't know how you do that either.
I, it
Government.
needs to be something super laid back through the office.
Informal.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, this could happen again, and then
Yeah.
it'll save us as staff if that's the case.
yeah, we might not have a good way of doing that, but I get it. All right. So we will hold that one until, for further clarification. Yes, yes, okay. That's a consensus. All right,
Okay, Mr. Chairman, board members, the next section for your consideration is 22-115, the WPPs, redundant and substitute wells. So we had some clarifications about redundant and substitute wells. Namely, we would like to firm up a requirement to get GPS locations for those wells. We have some language in here. Sorry. That requires somebody who's gonna put in a redundant well to provide us some sort of a citation or documentation from the agency requiring that they drill a second redundant well. We have clarification about abandoning well, so that if a well is being replaced due to a lack of supply or other malfunction, it should be abandoned according to the administrative rules of Montana. Then we have requirement for an abandoned well log. And we also have an option so that if there's going to be a substitute well, but there's a good reason for the person who's applied for the substitute well to retain the old well. Maybe there was some kind of bacteria contamination, so it wasn't potable. They still want to use it for irrigating their yard or something to that effect. I have opened the door for them to provide us a justification so that I would be able to allow for that, along with potential that we might make some requirements set forward. You could scroll down a little bit to the end, be great. And I would like to be able to say, hey, yeah, you need to put a sanitary well cap on. We need to mark it as, mark the visibility, do some other things that just generally would protect the groundwater resource if this well is going to sit there unused specifically for it. So with that overview, well, first, do you have any questions about the overview?
no, but jumping to Seth's comment,
Okay.
maybe I'm reading it wrong. He says this draft really will benefit. So he goes on and says, if these things happen, it looks like a benefit. So is there anything in here that objects to what you're doing?
Nothing objects to what we're doing. I believe that what he's asking for is for us to declare that an applicant seeking a redundant or substitute well, let us know that it's going to be the same aquifer. And I think that that requirement is generally set forth in the form for us. my interpretation is that he would like to see item 7. You know, applicant seeking. I'm just gonna go through what I think he's getting at. An applicant seeking a redundant or substitute well, must drill the additional well so that the maximum well depth is in the same aquifer.
What he's asking for, would you already be doing that?
Yes.
It's on the form too, I just pulled it up.
Yeah.
For example, it says, is the redundant well withdrawing water from the same groundwater source as the original well? Yes or no?
So I think we're good there.
Yeah.
I don't see, do you see anything in his comment, because he says would benefit. I think he goes on and said, this looks, I think he's essentially saying this is good.
Yeah.
My interpretation. All right, 22,115, so 22,115 would be good. All right,
You might just do concurrence.
we got one more, but there were no comments on, let's see, 31,113. 31,113 sub 4, according to this.
Sub 4, the chairman, board members, this was a clarification that I'd asked for so that, you know, if we get into an enforcement issue, that it might be clear
Okay.
that a water user who fails to curtail an illegal use can be fined. I think that this is a little redundant of the ordinance, and I like the clarification because make a clarification about this notice from the water engineer or any staff who is so directed by the engineer to curtail the illegal use. And I think that clarification is needed.
And we received 0 public comment on that.
That is my understanding is true.
All right. Any further discussion?
Well, these are the ones I always think we're gonna get public comment on. You know, if we have something to do with fines, I thought that's the one we'll get a comment for. Crickets,
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
After we approve them,
right?
we'll probably get comments. Any other discussion? All right, we're preparing to approve 10,102, 22,115, and 31,113. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, but I think you probably will have a public comment.
Yeah, I'm not, I said, yeah, we're preparing, so I'm just, if I'm correct, then we'll move on to public comment.
If anyone online has a public comment, please raise your hand while I allow you to speak. Say no public comment.
Currently, I'm correct.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
just small clarification on 11,108 and 21,111 and 112. So the comment with the substantive changes in 11,108 was only to subsection 3. So subsections 1 and 2 can be approved today.
Okay.
For use, as well as 21,111 and 112. It's just to subsection 2 of 21,112. So the other subsections can also be approved today.
all right. Let's specify what can be approved for the record. Would you please?
Yeah, I can read it off for you.
Yep.
So if you were to approve today, it would be WPMP section 10-102 subsection 9. WPMP section 11-108 subsections 1 and 2. WPMP section 21-111 in full and 21-112 subsection 1. WPMP section 22-115, and WPMP section 31-113 subsection 4.
Okay. We take it there are no public comments? No one available for public comment?
If anyone online has a public comment, please raise your hand and I'll allow them to speak. Seeing no public comment,
All right. Who took notes? Who wants to make that motion?
Okay, I'll take a crack at it. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve section 10-102, subsection 11-108, subsections 1 and 2, 21-111 in full, 21-112, subsection 1, 22-115, and 31-113, subsection 4. I'm sorry, 31-1,
Correct.
subsection 4.
Okay. That looks like she got it. Motion by Georgia. Second by George. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Those are approved.
Which one?
Now, do we need to take action on the other ones? To either go back out or get clarification, or do we just, okay. So what is going back out?
So, Mr. Chair, what would need to go back out would be substantive revisions to section 11-108 subsection 3 and section 21-112 subsection 2.
Going back out.
Oh, I apologize. Let me rephrase that. It would just be section 11-108 sub 3 that would need to be approved to go out.
To go back out, yes,
Correct.
okay. All right. We have any public comment, any public to make comment, none in the audience, anybody online?
if anyone online has a public comment, please raise your hand and I'll allow them to speak. Seeing no public comment,
Public comment, I'll take a motion to send back out. 11-108 sub 3.
Okay, I'll make a motion to send WPMP 11-108 subsection 3 to public comment.
Motion by Roger,
And I will second it.
second by George, all in favor, say aye.
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 And then for the issues on clarification of 22 dash. Now, the odd thing is his title is in the tribe sets Makepeace memos, his draft WP 22-1122. But his comment is actually reflective of 22-1-111. Am I reading that correct?
So the 2-1-111 is referring to the ordinance section. The WPMPs are structured slightly different, so.
Okay. All right. So we need to seek clarification on draft WPMP public comment to WPMP 21-112. Any public comment on that? Nobody in the audience, anybody online?
if anyone online has a public comment, please raise your hand and I'll allow them to speak. Seeing no public comment,
We'll take a motion to seek the clarification on that public comment.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion on WPNP 21112 clarification on subsection 2.
Of the public comment, yes.
And I guess-
Motion by George,
And I'd like to amend George's motion
Roger,
to, if they would like to suggest proposed language revisions.
George, you good?
Yeah.
Good with that? Good with that? All right. So with that, motion and amended motion, we have to seek clarification and request proposed solution, language. That was a motion by George,
All second.
second by Roger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you, Board. Next item under the water policies and procedures up for your consideration will be WPMPs 21-106, 107, and 108. These are new WPMPs for your consideration that relate to state-based registration. Please, open that for us to do, that'd be much appreciated.
Is that in our record or?
That is in your packet,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Like this here. And the real important changes start at page 3. We generally keep the introduction complete on these to help explain what it is that folks are looking at, but the real changes here are on page 3. And they're not really changes, it's all new language. These do reflect, you did a little bit of drafting on these sections at the last meeting, and you did try to capture that. We have a master. So we still have all the comments in place and I don't know how you'd like me to begin, Mr. Chairman, but I'm happy to just start reading through things. Oh, step away.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right, we'll start off with certain unrecorded existing uses, and we wanted to kind of introduce the term state-based registrations for these. There are multiple kinds of registrations in the ordinance. There's state-based registrations, which are handled under 2-1-106. There's also CSKT tribal registrations, and this does not pertain to those. It does not mean that a tribal member does not have the option to have a state-based registration at all. There certainly can be ownership of these if you're a tribal member or non-tribal member. Whereas the other ones are a little different. They are specific to the tribes. So, term state-based registrations is introduced under subhead. So two, the determination of state-based registrations that have a duplicative water court filing. This, as a reminder, section that I believe that we needed because there is a clarification in the ordinance that these there's an option to file for pre-1973 existing uses that were defined as exempt uses. And, but you can only file registration if you have not filed for those in the Montana Water Board. And we recognize that there will be, the chance that we might issue some water rights before we will determine that there could be a duplicate that was filed with the Montana Water Board. And so, we have these clarifications under A and B that we can reject the registration if we find a duplicative filing with Montana Water Board, or that if we've already issued it, we can revoke the registration certificate. If we determine at a later time that there was a duplication with Montana Water. Does anybody have any questions about these sections 1 and 2 under 21-106? Okay. 21-107, which is, it goes on,
Let me, Ethan, let me jump in.
of course,
What we're preparing to do here is send this out for 15-day public comment, especially given the length of 21-107. I'm just gonna ask, Haley, is there any reason, anything that have you seen them, and are there any red flags at this point that we should reconsider before we send these public comments?
I mean, I provided comment with a lot of comments on these sections 2 meetings ago.
Okay, and they were addressed?
Not 100%. I mean, I'm still uncomfortable with sub 2 and 106. Only
Okay.
how it's worded. That, and I did address that at the last meeting when we went over this, that I was not comfortable with how it's worded.
Okay. Do you want to specify that for us? Again?
I don't think I can actually speak to what I exactly said last time, but
That's fine.
can you open the comment that's very right, yeah, that would.
yeah, I mean, I understand where I think it's trying to come from and what it's trying to resolve. The way it's worded is like, people are filing for water rights with the water board, which is just not the process. Right, like, people don't file for water rights with the water board. The water board is only tasked with adjudicating statements and claims. So the way that it's written, I think it would lead to confusion to the public. That's where I'm coming from. I can understand the intention and the need potentially for it. I would almost be more comfortable in saying, you know, that the Office of Engineer staff and reviewing the registration applications can, well, and that was also something I thought changed to registration applications, right? That term,
What's that?
that's just must not have been caught yet.
Yeah, that would.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's not good. On providing my comment, I spoke at the last meeting, I was listening, you know, what the board's take was on this.
So I heard you at the last meeting, and I looked through these again this morning. And so I'll explain the tension I have when I read the language. So when I look at these, I'm always trying to imagine what it's like for staff to execute an application. And I always assume that this language is making their job easier or clarifying it. And I read your comments, and you're trying to keep us from, you know, saying something we shouldn't. And I have nothing to offer to this discussion. So I don't know what substitute language would be. So that's why there's no comment there. Does that make sense?
It does, and I kind of wanna reframe my perspective on it. It's not to keep the office of the board from saying something it shouldn't, it's to help the public understand what the office is doing.
Okay, that's better.
So, so think of, so again, we're going back to why we were drafting WPMPs in the first place, right? If you think of any other administrative agency, right, DNRC, for example, they have statutory authority like we do in the compact and the ordinance. But there's places within that statutory authority that is unclear, on a technical level. And so they have the administrative rules that they create as an agency to clarify parts of the statutory authority that is unclear. That's what these WPMPs are, is to do that. Myself, as somebody in public, can go on and look at the administrative rules and say, oh, that's where they're coming from when they evaluate well capacity.
All right, I made some changes here to see if this helps to, resolve some of this. One, we have now replaced, filing with claims. We have replaced the Montana Water Code with Montana General Stream Adjudication, which is what the ordinance, uses under that section. And then, I just have handled the part that has the comments, I recognize that down below it, since it's a lot of quote. This is a test to see if this updated language helps to resolve some of the issues that you have.
Yeah, I just feel like the one part is redundant, maybe. The only thing compares state-based registration to registration set forth with plan, I guess,
Registration for registration.
yeah, that seems a little redundant. Should, it should just delete for registrations.
And capitalize registration.
Compare state-based registrations with those set forth in, yeah.
Well, the section of the ordinance that deals with these is the 21-106 sub 1, which there's 3 sections.
I get that too, but I think that set forth in ordinance needs to actually come after, during the general adjudication, right? Because it's referring to those registrations that were made to the Montana General State
There you go.
Adjudication, right? But you're receiving the registration certificate, or the registrations in your office to just look over.
They were,
That makes sense?
well, no, they weren't, these were filed with the NRC,
Correct.
for the general use. Actually, could you just do a reverse, do one back? I
Right, right,
actually think we could just delete that whole reference.
yeah, because
Just define state-based registrations, and we can compare them with claims.
Yeah.
And then, that's what I'm thinking right now.
So, but right there, general stream adjudication, it's not only surface water, it's groundwater too, isn't it?
They, the term of art is the Montana General Stream Adjudication, and, I didn't look that up, that's just out of the.
yeah, it goes down with general stream adjudication is the whole system of adjudication. But is there redundancy in that sense? Oh, made to the Montana General Stream Adjudication during the general adjudication.
Yeah, it would be made to, because the stream adjudication is not a body.
So
They during. Yeah, sure, delete during the general adjudication.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
There, A, can replace. They, during the general street vacation.
And then the title. That section.
Yeah. Yeah, during. You say Clay.
Should-
All right.
That addresses my one concern.
So wouldn't that, all right, so, go ahead.
No, my other concern, I mean, and why I was talking about the adjudication process in this is, I have no issue with staff looking up claims to see if they're, duplicative of a registration that was filed. However, in the adjudication process, a water right owner can object to their own water rights as abandoned. And so if you go and revoke the registration because it's duplicative, but then they go in the adjudication process and self-object to their claim. I mean, then what goes on?
Well, so the ordinance doesn't say that it had to successfully that the claim had to successfully make it through the general adjudication. It's just if it was claimed.
Yeah.
So, its appearance, in its unperfected, unauthorized form would be enough. We're not required to be filed pursuant 85-2-222 MCA, and in fact, we're not filed as claims for the Montana General Street Commission. So if you wanted to do it differently, we can do it.
But and where is that language you're reading?
That's on the ordinance,
Yeah.
probably, in the
I
2-1-106.
somehow need to reference the ordinance.
So,
Cause I think what I'm hearing is we can't substitute what we're doing with the authority of the water court. It's going through the general stream adjudication, if they filed something duplicate and it's in that process, they have to make that determination. We can't supersede that.
correct,
But we are not rejecting claims or anything. These are registrations that we would issue. So these water rights, although they are pre-73, they have our office, your board name on them. They are not statements of claim.
I'm not saying they are,
Right, I'm just trying to.
I'm still confused though, because if you're looking at a claim that's going to be in front of the water court in the adjudication process for this basin, well, the two basins. But that hasn't gone, it's not been consolidated in the case yet, right? So the water court hasn't evaluated it. But you see it and you're like, well, that's duplicative of the registration that we have, or it's exact same use for the exact same property. So because it's duplicative, we're going to revoke the registration. Okay? So now the water court consolidates the claim into a case, they're evaluating it, but, oh, hey, that water right owner self-objected, or there was an objection to it that said this claim's been abandoned. Now, the water court says, yep, it's been abandoned, they don't have any water right.
I mean, I think that accurately portrays what the ordinance is said to do. And I
Without
also,
any sort of evaluation of the registration though?
well, I mean, I think that the fact that it says that they were not filed as claims.
But that's separate, that's the registration. What you're suggesting in here is to like, not even evaluate the registration, you're just gonna look if there's a duplicative claim.
Well, we would evaluate the registration also, but it
Okay.
does make it clear that this is, a scenario in which we would reject it.
All right, so regardless of the language we can work on that. So if you've got a claim made that's going through the adjudication process in the state. And then now we've got an individual who had filed a claim, comes in here and files a registration with us.
Well, they would have already filed the registration. These are the state-based registrations.
I think you need to tell, I was struggling with that too, and I think nobody else gets what you guys are talking about. These are the late claim filings, the registrations, not coming
These
into
are
the
not-
office right now and filing a new registration. These are old registrations.
Okay, I get that. I'm just reacting also to the way Ethan phrased it. So it sounded like something they're filing with us.
I can give you additional context on why it was worded this way.
No, hold on.
Okay.
So let's say you have the claim and you have a registration and there is duplication. What do we do with that?
That's what I mean, I don't think the office can necessarily just revoke it, I think there has to be some sort of communication with the water board. At that point, to be like, well, you know, we flagged this registration as potentially being duplicative of a claim that's in the water court in the adjudication process currently.
And how do we do that? Do we make it as a comment to the water court, under that claim?
No,
To that point?
I don't suggest the office of board getting involved in the re-adjudication process, no.
Okay,
I think it would be more so an information sharing with like a judicial assistant or a water master within the water court, who's
All right.
overseeing the basin.
so we share that. What happens on our end with that registration?
You would be put in a stay
We just,
until the water court adjudication process or until we figure out a way to proceed with the water court.
so do we need a policy and or legal mechanism? Do we need to establish that to create that stay option?
Probably.
Could you just take that number B, say duplicative registration certificates? Or the OE, or which you have, as determined are duplicative will be stayed or something like that until the adjudication program has resolved the status.
I will also offer this, the reason that it was written that way is that they were worried, people would avoid the water court and register with us, which is probably an easier process. And, that is the context of why it was written that way in the first place, because you didn't have to go to court and represent yourself or anything, you just get managed through us. I'm also gonna mention that the scope of these is limited to stock, direct from source, and domestic. So this does not, even though you hear that claim and a lot of people are thinking like some big irrigation with water right, these are the exempt filings, and it was very narrow. We are gonna get into discussing that in these WPMPs. So it is a narrow group of water rights that we're talking about.
So with regard to, one example of those, if you've got a claim file, and then you've got this registration. Shouldn't there be a difference in priority date then too?
The registration for, these exempt uses, they allow the priority date that the water was put to use. In other words, the claimed priority date. And it's a weird group of water rights, because we will be issuing water rights that predate 1973 as registration certificates.
Cool. I agree with the complication because there are 3 different types of these registrations, but not, all the priority dates aren't based on when first put to use. For example, like the one we're talking about right now with the Montana General Stream Adjudication, that was when it was first put to use for first beneficial use. The second one was when it was the date of the filing of the appropriate form. So it's not necessarily that's spelled out in ordinance in 107.
Yeah, but this group under 106(1), the exempt, the pilot was, it's clarified that it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just said that, but I'm talking about all the three different types. Under 106.
yeah, so, the rest of the, like the 602s and 605s that were filed for during the 180-day period would have the effective date, priority date.
That's the third type. The second type is the date of filing of the appropriate form.
which is what I was, I think, referring to. So what's wrong with just hitting pause on those if we find a duplication and sending some sort of administrative whatever notice to the water court saying, we have this.
I don't think the law allows it, that's why I wrote that clarification.
Well, I will defer to our lawyer on the legal potential.
I guess I don't understand what you mean by the law would not allow it.
The ordinance just makes it clear that those would not be allowable registrations if they were in fact, they had to be in fact not filed as claims.
Right, but that's a different, you're talking about a different thing. The standard that they weren't filed as claims within the extreme adjudication process is true. To be a registration under sub 1, that is true. What you're saying here, though, is you're looking at duplicative claims that are before the water court, and the registration under sub 1 saying if those are duplicative, we're gonna reject the registration. That gives me pause, because what's the legal authority to do that?
Well, we weren't supposed to issue it in the first place if it was filed for the general stream adjudication. But this does recognize that you might not have all those records available during the time that we're trying to get this process. And what are we gonna do? We have to recognize like we might have issued something that we weren't supposed to issue, under 21-106 sub 1.
Well, then we don't. I mean, that's why we put it on pause, right?
Well, I just think there needs to be some sort of establishment of communication though with the water court on these. Like I think it's a legitimate issue. Like it's a very legitimate concern, because there could be people that did duplicatively claim, like file a claim, right? While also filing for a registration, right? Like somebody could have done that.
Yep.
Yes, that's true. But I don't think you can just like look at a water court record or the DNRC file with the filings to the water court and just assume that it's duplicative. And I think there needs to be some sort of connection to the water court to at least just have like due diligence on it.
Before we take action
Oh, before potentially rejecting or revoking.
or accepting.
Or accept, yeah,
Yeah,
because those could be the paths, right? Like the end result could be to reject a registration for being duplicative, that's true. But without having some sort of like validation, on the adjudication side, I don't know how you could find that out. That makes sense. I know it's more work, but it just gives me kind of a weird feeling.
Well, from a board perspective, I don't know that today, this second, we're going to provide you with language that we can say, oh, let's do this. But can we say, all right, guys, come up with a recommendation here that fits our need? I mean, you guys. I mean, I hear the technical and legal argument, but I certainly don't want to get us into any legal bind. And if it's legally acceptable, put something like that on pause until the water court and we put them on notice. Why not? Because I'm also thinking, I could be wrong, but how many could there be that are duplicative?
There are 114 filed for under 222F, and that that makes the assumption that, which that's the type of registration that this relates to. However, we do think that there are some that have wrong form filed, where they filed the wrong registration form or multiple registration forms. And so, I'm just trying to complete the answer.
Yeah,
Out of those 114 filings, how many of them are duplicates? Let's say 20. I mean, it's probably something. And, yeah, we can consider rejecting it. And just say, we'll, put the water right at suspended status until, coordination with the Montana Water Board helps to clarify that stuff.
Yeah, I think something along those lines would make me more comfortable, just from.
Okay,
all right, to try to move on, can we say that you'll come back with revised language on this before we send it out to public comment, or how do you want to approach it? And
let's just, for now, we can just delete all of sub two. And see if we can move some other portions of these forward, and then, we'll know. I'm not gonna say this is a different copy. And then, later, we can make a modification after, planning is set up. Some language that you like better.
so you're saying delete that and potentially go forward with the public comment with the rest of this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Okay. All right, delete, then let's move on to the next paragraph we need to discuss then. Board members, Fair, yes? Next item.
All right, this goes into the adequacy of the state-based, registrations and, the registration processing. And, before we had talked about some, registration standards that, were set up in the WPP. You didn't really like those, so we deleted them. Instead, now we started into how the OE will handle registration defects. And,
So we're on 21-107, correct?
yes, sir, sorry.
And so that's the one that was pretty lengthy. And the short one, we had some red flags, obviously. So let me take the same approach here for 107. Were there any red flags, any reason not to go forward with public comment on?
Yeah, I mean, I have comments on the side of these.
All right, let's go through them.
I guess I can like read that, I suppose. So, yeah, I mean, I think that this could just be cleaned up a little bit. A lot of this is already spelled out in 21-107 sub 2. Just in that, if it includes defects, then the OE has to return essentially a defect letter. And then that, registration owner has the ability to submit a corrected registration, within a certain amount of time. And if the office, again, finds that that's not met, they can retract the registration. So I think the, like language under A, like the OE may reject the registration, I mean, that's 107. That entire A, it's just restating it. Just don't think it's necessary.
Except for the last part where it says what the government.
Right, I would have struck that language anyway, because the basis to reject a registration does not come from the WPP, it comes from the ordinance.
Okay.
Well, trying to work through these best we can here, so. Something you said, Haley, if we find defect with the registration, they can correct it and send it back.
Yes.
That's a registration they've already filed with the state.
Yeah.
But we would be giving them an opportunity to correct it because of our review.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, I mean, based on what you're saying, what would be the solution?
Yeah, so I think that one just below where I say delete A and move it up to, so essentially, you know, I, sub I would become A. So it's just getting rid of the stuff that's already in 107 and just going straight into, okay, this is what informal resolution of defects looks like. This is what, you know, formal resolution of defects looks like. And then you have those A. Yeah, same like that.
Okay.
Do that first.
What,
I think, I should go through that. That should- that is, they're a little, so.
well, under B, as I read it, how much coordination would there have to be between us and the state regarding ownership of record? Because by the time we review something that was filed years ago, ownership,
So the state has.
which ownership of record do we follow?
Sure, there's gonna be a mess, you know, we know that, but the state has been doing ownership updates on these suspended rights the whole time. However, the original filings were never, I'll say perfected, because they didn't ever process it. So the best ownership updating that they could do is all based on the original filing information.
Registration file.
Well, their registration now, but at the time they were, you know, 602 or 605.
So I guess my question still stands. What, I mean, how do we, what do you do with that?
Well, we have access to the entire water rights database that has all of the water right owner contact information. And we have geocodes, so we will have to, I mean, part of the job, we're gonna have to diligently look at each one of these and figure out who owns it, and do our best to reach out.
Okay.
We're trying to make this timeline a little more robust because we recognize that, you know, we don't want to inadvertently drop somebody because of a return mail issue, but we're gonna have a lot of return mail. We're gonna have a bunch of these that don't have a home. We're just gonna, we're not sure what we'll do. You'll probably see some other letter added to this at some point about return mail.
Well, I just, without proposing anything, I'm just imagining what if that happens, do we maybe then go out to public, some sort of public notice saying, we found this, you own this? Give us a call. I don't know, I'm just,
Yeah, I know. So what do you do what's your process? So somebody filed one of these things, you know, I don't know, 20 years ago. It's changed hands twice, now there's a new owner. Are you contacting the new owner? I mean, they're not gonna have any knowledge that that was even filed.
Most of them do have those as part of their property records. And the number of people who have those suspended rights at hand is high. I don't think this is some secret on the reservation that you would want to hang on to your suspended file. And so, I think that they're in better shape than you might think, I guess, because the ownership update process has been going. Yeah, the problem really, Roger, is when you find these ones that were filed for improperly and nobody ever had a geocode associated with it, and so then they're just gonna be one out there. And those are the ones that we don't know. I'm not sure how well to manage those.
Lost and found?
Lost and found, too much.
We found, if you lost it, let us know.
So I think as we go through these, we'll start to find those, we'll develop a better plan, you know, like, but I don't have them in hand right now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you know, but you'll see a strategy develop as we come in.
So this is B, I guess we're on B now. Something seems a little inconsistent with those timeframes when I read this. The owner of record has 30 days from the receipt of the letter to provide the OE with the corrected information. But then it says the 30-day deadline shall begin 15 days from the date, 15 days from the date of the effect letter. On 30 days. Trying to follow this.
So it effectively makes 45 days.
But that's what we have written here, and we need
Thereby resulting in a 45-day deadline for response.
for the date that we met.
Depending on the postage time frame, they might even have an extra day or two.
Yeah, I guess it's, well,
Just say 45 days from the postmark.
I could, that could be. I think, isn't that word to say like 30 days ago?
The ordinance is 30 days.
That's why, so we tried to make a clarification to tie into the ordinance 30-day period, and that's a good, yes, it would be easier, but it's should have, we're trying to observe it.
Well, and give extra time, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, we try to justify it a little bit, you know, why we do it this way.
But we haven't shortened the time frame, lengthened it so that nobody should complain to that.
There should be no issue with that in terms of compliance with the ordinance, so long as the issuance or rejection of the registration is done within 180 days.
And some of these people might, you know, some of these people definitely don't even live in the state.
Oh,
So there's gonna be, I mean, whether or not we find international addresses, very common, I don't know, but. I mean, those are factors, we don't know what all these people live.
so how many registrations did you order up to work on to start with?
55,
And how, based on what you're doing now, based on this, what's that looking like? Is this time frame gonna affect how many you order next time?
for sure, and we have 32 of them are done. Some of those were a little easier because we'd already issued some before, you know, that were high priority ones. So this was like catching up with the records in the background. However, it also took longer because we've also written our internal procedures and checklists and set ourselves up with, you know, the main skeletal construct of how we're going to manage these. We're still developing that as well, but as we go through the first batch. And so, C is just, item C is just to make it really clear what we're gonna do if we don't. You're back.
All right, Haley, you had other comments, or are they addressed well enough?
Yeah, they're good. I'm
Right.
just letting Cindy know she really did.
All right, what's James got to say?
We already did that.
Okay, any other red flags?
I think we should have a title for C. Which says. Failure to respond. Failure to- Back in. I mean, we do recognize that this is, I mean, these are water right type that you can't get here. So, yeah, for me, that's why I really wanted to have extra clarification on what we're doing. Because, yeah, if we reject the registration, you know, if there was some kind of an exempt use that was up to 10 acre feet, that's not allowed anymore. Those folks are not gonna have another venue for filing other than trying to pursue a permit. And so it is a significant, action. This also commits us to, once we do issue them, to mailing them to the owner or owners of record. And I think that you should all know that that's gonna be a lot of money in paper and toner and postage and staff hours, so envelopes and the whole shebang. I originally had written this so that, you know, we would just make a list of the ones that have been issued online, and almost every staff member said that that was not. I think every two. That would be the other options if you want to try to save money, we could just post online, all the machines.
Well, yeah, I mean, the water right owner, I want to have something in hand. Like throw in a file or lose or whatever, but once you have a certified record that it's, that they have it, that's. They have it.
Yep, that's what everybody else said too, so, now we're ready.
All right,
And then if we're gonna reject registration, we're gonna send a letter that says we're gonna reject the registration.
all right,
So we're gonna send mail either way.
okay. Do we slide up here with? We got more?
Sure.
Any other comments? On any sections?
Okay, well, we're sending all that out, are we required to keep paper copies on file?
We're gonna scan them and they become part of the record in the virus database. And that's, we're still working through our internal specs on what we're gonna do for records retention. The state had historically kept all paper copies, but they are shifting to a digital footprint. And so I'm highly likely to follow suit on, you know, once these things are issued or rejected, scan the entire record and then recycle. So that's kind of where we're headed, but the board will have to ultimately. You'll hear a draft procedure and have to make a determination that helps us guide what we can do for records retention. I'm actively writing that right now.
Yeah. Electronic sets of that, I mean, I can see us having discussions about redundancy and security and bulletproofness and all that stuff is, and that's all there is.
Yep.
Do we need to go up more?
I'll just go on a little bit on, the accuracy of state-based registration. One of the biggest challenges that we face with all of our current applications, new ones, is, getting the applicant to meet, our requirements for possessory interest. We have requirements for possessory interest that I believe approximate the requirements under state law. I'm sure you hate that word in there, maybe, but, here we're trying to say why, we're referencing our own WPMPs. Because I know that the original filings didn't have that written, but we do need some guidance on whether or not the original applicant and the current owner have possessory interest in the entire place of use, point of diversion, and use of conveyance. And this is to eliminate people getting water rights on other people's lands, or doing something where there might be three owners and only one owner is represented. That's the whole intent here, is to verify the possessory interest for these applications and move forward trying to resolve outstanding issues so that we don't infringe on anybody's private property rights.
All right, my question though is for the board as we move through this, do you want to continue to go through line by line, or I'm just looking to see if there's any highlighted red flags? I mean, Haley, did you have other red flags through this section that we need to consider?
For two,
And the rest of seven,
oh, I don't have my copy in front of me, so I'm not, I mean, I knew I commented quite a bit on seven, 107.
okay. Can we get through those? At least? That's what I'm proposing. Board members, what do you want to do? Want to keep going through line by line? Or just get through those comments to start with? Want to go line by line? All right.
Well, I take my word for it. It helps me because I'm learning as I go, but if we go up to the one we were just on. I didn't put a comment in here because I'm just gonna be asking. But on that one where it talks about the point of conveyance, the entirety of the conveyance. The question I had, and because it may be silly, I didn't want to write it in. Are there any instances of these where the water right starts on the res and crosses off the res, or vice versa?
We think so.
We just talked about that.
Yeah, and we know that there are water rights, bigger water rights that have that. We think that there are probably some fringe ones where the registrations might overlap, and they're highlighted, and we're gonna have to figure out, working with NRC, what would happen, what we more accurately identify that is correct.
So with the language here, help, or do you need a whole separate bit to deal with those kinds of questions?
I think that's a whole separate bit.
Gotcha,
And,
okay.
this is really focused on, and all of these registrations are focused on ones that are entirely on the regulation. You know.
Okay. Keep it rolling much as we can.
All right, let's go down to the.
Let me ask, you guys want to take a break? Especially board members, you've been going since noon.
Yeah, I might need
All right,
another refill.
We'll take 5, come back to this in just a minute.
I was yawning.
All right.
Bulging.
We're back from break, so I've been, we can go at any pace you guys wanna go. What I was hoping is we would get through the comments enough so that if we decide to get this out for 15-day public comment, we can just go ahead and do that, but if we don't get through it, then we don't get through it, so whatever you guys wanna do, Ethan, you wanna move us on?
I'm happy to do that. The other option, Mr. Chair, would be to get the other items on the agenda. There are some pressing things. We're gonna have to come back to this. And it seems like there's a lot of discussion on state-based registrations. I know that we're gonna get into some other sections that are gonna require your attention.
All right, board members, what would you like to do? And with just a quick side note, for your information, Haley's gonna have to leave in about an hour.
So we should move it along.
What would you like to do?
I would say let's come back to this. I'd like to have more time to review it
Okay,
anyway.
okay, all right. So we were on 3.2. After that discussion, we will move on. To item number 4.
I guess before we leave that. So if
Yeah.
there are any other changes that Haley's gonna make or whatever. Or are you gonna make like what we've got now in our packet? Can you get those? Any other comments you have on this stuff?
I don't have any other comments. I provided comments for I mean, this has been on the last 2 agendas.
But
So-
we never get to it.
Yeah, so my comments have been on there for quite a bit, you know. I don't have anything except for, I think there was direction to maybe, revise the language on 10602. But other than that, that's the only thing I would add.
All right, the document you said we've had it for the last couple sessions, that's fine, but the version with your comments is available for us to see.
I will certainly redistribute, this document.
Let's do that.
And I'm gonna go ahead and since we're at this stage, we'll go ahead and rewrite some language on 106 to get that in your hands as well. Is that
All right, sounds good, appreciate it, thank you. Okay, item number 4, office building project planning updates. I mean, you guys had a chance to meet in Missoula. I didn't, so how'd that go?
So the architects, I was out of town on travel, and so Kayla Hoyt was kind enough to meet up with our architects and give them a tour of the DNRC water rights office. I talked to Sarah this morning, and she said that was very useful. I was a little nervous how useful that would be. She said that was super useful. They got some good notes. They got a good idea of, what something kind of like that works for a water rights office. And so I'll talk it up as a win. The next steps for the office building, project is, we have some dates here, and you have a contract that has been amended with Haley. This is my understanding, is that the contract was amended to resolve Haley's issues, but then Georgia also had some comments about the contract.
Mostly grammatical.
And so I think that, we have, given you the packet, the contract. We have also, given you, and this is the updated contract that has, items from Haley addressed. And then we also have a document in here that was, George's comments.
I'm sorry, this is the revised copy? Yeah, I was gonna say, because the, like, this still has Flathead Water Management Board instead of Flathead Reservation.
And Clayton Kid and I were not, neither one of us were able to go on that tour. He had family and then I had a client. Kind of emergency came, so I didn't get to go. So I'm pleased to hear how the visit went and I'm sure that was helpful.
So if this is not the updated one, but even if it was, we're not really. If it was, were we actually prepared to take action on it today?
I think it looked good enough. To do that, I mean, George, you read it pretty thoroughly. Do you have any other issues besides that handful?
No, mine were like old school teacher kind of comments. It was just spelling grammar. I thought their overall approach to this was sound, and I think we have to move on it soon if we're gonna stick with the timeline to get something put together before the next request goes into the state and tribes on the budget.
Yeah, my other initial question still stands is, what, how much is the first step gonna cost, and do we have the money for that? And is that part of the contract?
When Ken and I met with them, I don't know what's in the paperwork either. But when Ken and I met with them, we had a conference call, and we were in that too, so you could keep me honest if my memory is fuzzy. But it appears we do have the funds in the budget to pay for the preliminary work that needs to be done. That was gonna come in well under $20,000-ish. They didn't give us a hard number, but there is some initial scoping that would have to be done. And we have those funds. So. We kind of, I think, Roger, didn't we build that into the budget? Yeah. Thanks. It takes a village to help me remember things these days, so.
Well, I'm not retaining a lot myself. So do we know how much that was gonna cost? Or estimate?
Rhonda, do you have the budget handy?
I'm looking for.
Not the budget, but how much they say it's gonna cost.
Yeah, I was gonna try and tell you what we got allocated.
Oh, okay.
At the bottom of their
That was,
proposal, I think was what they laid out. Yeah, it was 1,000 plus 730 an hour. It was 14,1, but then they do a 10% donation of their fee. So they have on here, after donation, the cost would be 12,690.
That was well within what we had. Planned for.
Okay. So what we have in hand is not the revised one. Do we need to revise?
I can print it for you right now, if you'd like
Okay.
to have it in your hand.
Well, if the board wants to consider taking action on it, we better. Oh, because this is not the revised one.
he's got it, I thought that's the revised. Agreement, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay, is that adequate for y'all?
Yeah.
So what got revised? Start there. Or do we know?
Well, they had put Flathead Water Management Board instead of Flathead Reservation Water Management Board. There were just some misspellings here and there. Like I said, I don't think I edited anything substantive at all. It was just grammatical. I guess the name is substantive. It's important to get the name right. So. And I think I asked them to put in language to specify that the structure would have to be built on the reservation. I don't think that language was in there before. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So when I talked to them earlier today, what I suggested is that like we could, take a look at this. Punch list of things. You know, maybe you could give me your punch list like the, needs to be built on the reservation. They'll amend that, and we'll distribute a digital signature file to whoever you want to authorize this.
I think they already made those corrections though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is all, that, I mean, that specific language is in George's email.
And they sent it back within 24 hours and said they had made those changes. So.
Is there a site for it?
Yeah.
Nope,
What's that? Oh, there is no sign.
in the cloud.
Yeah.
No, what's gonna happen, I think we're fortunate, we decided we've got the money for this first step, but to pay for doing the design, once they come up with that cost, that's actually gonna have to come from combination of the state and the tribe. I don't know we'll have that much money. And then once they have a final plan, and the state and the tribe have to come together with us to come up with a site. And then they'll be able to do the final plan with the site, and then once we have all that in hand, all the number, that would go to the state legislature and then the tribe for funding for the project. That's my.
So, Georgia, I think that you sent your, I think you sent your comments. I don't think you included Luke and Sarah on your comments. That email that I'm looking at.
Oh, I didn't.
And so, what I can do is,
I
get
thought-
these, get these modified, or maybe I'm wrong, maybe you sent it to them
Yeah,
differently.
because I got an email back from them.
Okay,
Let me make, I have my contacts in right now, which means I have to hold the phone out here to see, but if I can find it, I'm gonna forward it to you.
okay, I do know that they responded to Haley's. Edits, and I didn't see any statement about, on the reservation.
Yeah, I didn't see those, Georgia, but I did, you and I had the similar grammatical and spelling corrections, and I know they made those.
Okay,
But yeah, as far as your,
yeah, I got an email back from Luke on the 27th. I've made the modifications to the draft contract and am returning back with those changes.
I think he was responding to the edits that I had sent him from you. And, so I think that that's the reason that he got the impression that, hey, wow, he responded really fast, but,
Okay.
I don't think he ever actually saw
He didn't see mine.
the communication from you. However, the bulleted points that you made on there are something that we can easily,
Okay.
integrate and you could, as a body conditionally, approve this with the understanding that we would, get them to add, these 1 through 4
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely.
clarification points that you have made, that also the board does have a printout of that, that document here, if you want us to move this. And the reason I'm just trying to get this moving forward is that we have to put them on a pretty tight timeline
Yeah.
to get things, done. And so I'm trying to keep us on the tight timeline also, in order to move it forward.
So Ethan's right, I just checked, and my email did not go to Luke and Sarah, it just went to our team here. So, again, note to self, I should not be emailing at all with my contacts, and either should I.
Well, they kind of acknowledge, it says, Loki draft contract, it says, bottom of that first page says, add site location, the final facility shall be located within the boundaries of the flooded Indian reservation and selected in consultation with CSKT planning staff. So they acknowledge that.
Cool. Well, we need them, I think. We need to add Dustin's comment to, as they move forward. When I asked him how his office space was, the only way he could feel better about it was to compare it to his ancestors' coal mining experience. So,
That's my dad, that's not an answer.
well, I think we'll say ancestor, it sounds like. So, I tell the truth when you can exaggerate a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, no, but this is not,
I'd be surprised if a new design would, have like an interior office space without natural light. That's just very.
I know. I think that the first meeting, they asked what's working for this building, and I was like, well, it's easier to give a list of what's not working in this building, so.
No. Thought we had it built into this budget.
So what are we looking at?
So this is the budget that was approved. This is what we are working off currently.
Somehow, we thought we had it in here, but I don't see it now unless I'm missing something.
It was in part of the draft that we took to the budget meeting that we had with Kayla and Melissa. They had asked us to remove it from the budget, and I think that the discussion was either in the one-time appropriation fees of the 185, potentially use it that way, or would prefer to use it in the funds that were going to be allocated with the application money. That's something that we haven't revisited since that budget meeting.
It wasn't a one-time funding. That's what I think you're thinking of, Roger.
Yeah.
That's where it's specifically
Yeah.
listed out.
So does this mean we have to do a budget mud to get it back in, or?
No,
What is that?
because this is our current operating budget, but then we have the ancillary funds that are set aside. So it's in the set aside funds.
Gotcha. So of the 185,000, we are still working through reconciliation to make sure everything's categorized correctly. And I think we're right at 153 and some change. And so there is some money left in that 185. I will have a final number hopefully by the third quarter for you guys to review. And hopefully also the 185 will be completely reconciled.
Well, we need to be certain we've got the money and know where it's coming from before we and commit to a contract, I think. Might, unless you guys wanna do something different. Or unless we already have it, I don't, maybe I'm missing something.
So just shy of $25,000 left and the 185,000 left. So there is technically that money that we could completely spend on that item. As far as thinking further, we're not gonna get it until 2027 when we ask for additional funds, or it's gonna be in the application money that we've already received.
Okay. So that money you're talking about, is there a sheet on that as well?
For the application funding?
No.
Or the 185?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm currently working on reconciling that right now, so, that's where I came up with the 153. There's a few items and stuff like that that I need to kind of designate yet, and I should have that by the next board meeting for you guys to review. And that number will be a final number.
But what you're looking at, there's a list.
Yes,
Okay. Do you guys wanna see that list? That's what I'm asking.
I can print that.
Yes, no, maybe?
I don't know if I need a list, I guess I just would, to answer your question, it'd be good to, verify we got the money to pay for.
Well, is her verbal acknowledgement and Ethan's verbal acknowledgement good enough for you guys?
Yeah, I think that what, well, I know, so actually one, so there's about 25, yeah, so. Her number this one time was 185 and they spent 153, so that's 28,000, but you're telling us for sure there's 25,000.
For sure, there's 25.
And so we just heard from Haley that it's what'd you say, 13,000 something?
14.
Yeah, 14.1 is the, before their 10% inflation.
The 10.
Oh, 14,1, so we've got the money to do it.
Okay. All right, so next question is, you guys want to give approval to contract as it's to be amended based on, Haley and Georgia and our comments? Or do you wanna wait and see it? Yes, as in,
Yes, I would like to get it approved.
I concur, I see,
okay,
I think they've got all their comments organized now, they can get them revised and finalized and.
so if we do that, we're good?
Yeah,
Good with that?
it's just George's, comments that they have to accommodate for, so.
All right. Recommend a motion language for that because we don't have that in front of us, so. Anyone know?
I'll make a motion that we enter into a contract with Low C Architects to begin the site planning design portion of the new building with an amount not to exceed 14,100 at the price.
Motion by Roger,
Second.
second by Georgia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Okay, any nays? Hearing no nay, we're good.
Just one point of clarification, who would you like to execute this? We need somebody who's gonna receive the digital contract and go through that additional authorization process.
Yeah, I can do it if you want me to, unless you want Ethan to take care of that. I can do it, yeah. Have them include us both, and
Okay.
I'll make sure
All
I
right,
take care of that.
thanks, and I'll have a little back and forth with them to get these edits in there, and I'll champion that portion of this, okay?
Okay, baby steps.
Well,
That is moving.
that's great. On the same topic, Mr. Chairman, we have some upcoming dates that we do need to solidify with the the Loki folks, those folks, excuse me. Namely, there's a vision meeting that they want to have with the office through the building committee if they want to participate. And then they will also do a facility review of this building. Dates that were brought forward were 8/7 or 8/11. 8/7 is next Thursday. 8/11 is Monday after next.
What time on Monday?
They didn't have a time yet, but I'm sure we can ask for a specific time.
Were there any other dates?
You're thinking 8/11, I mean, Ken's not here, I know, but. Do you want to attend this, Georgia?
I would like to, my schedule is a little uncertain now because of a commitment hanging out there for a client in South Dakota. And I don't know if I'm gonna be traveling or not traveling. I could tentatively agree.
Well, 7th is out for me, 11th is a possibility. 12th and 13th look even better for me. If that matters.
If we set something up on the 12th and the 13th, they'll ask to push the big presentation, the building program and the vision synopsis. They currently had that scheduled for 8/14. They'll want to move that out a week to 8/21.
Yeah, we'll do it.
So
From my perspective, the 11th is fine if, and I can be available depending on the time. I've got a couple other things, but I can try to work around them, but I just need to know a time.
sure. I will get that on the books and let you know. Like, again, though, this first vision meeting would only be folks who are just interested in telling them what they want to see in the vision. So it's not like a full board.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we don't, yeah, and we don't all have to. Do it, and I think most critical is staff. You got what space is needed inside and out.
How about a window?
How about two?
Set bar law.
But a glass building or
Just a small hole to breathe through. Maybe. I don't know.
We have to snorkel first, yeah.
Kind of like, it's all dark in this office, but there's a brewery right there. I don't know. All right, this is very helpful. Thank you.
Do we have a time? And I assume it's like a Zoom meeting on Monday, the vision meeting? The 11th?
We don't have a time yet, but they can set that up to where it's virtual for sure. And I will set the time. If you have a preference, you should email me and then that will be the time that I see. So,
I'm very flexible.
okay, all right.
As long as I'm not in South Dakota, I'm flexible.
All right,
just for the record, none of you caught me on it. No public comment was taken on that. So at this point, is there any public available and does any public have comment on that contract?
No,
Okay, so for the record, there was no public comment to comment anyway, but I missed it for the record and now we've covered it. So, all right. Thank you. All right. We've kind of already covered the visit to BNRC, right? Oh, no.
we're on
That's coming
item
up.
5 now. So
Okay, item 5. Where you go? Item 5.
just as a refresh of what I know, we had the breaks section 3.15 out to public comment. There was no public comment that, section struck the matching time for physical fitness leave. And then, the board has that where they could, adopt that, but there's also a discussion of PTO that the vice chair will.
Okay, then I guess I'm up for the PTO.
Discussion of PTO.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we did this PTO, I guess. Couple, 3 or 4 of us board members. Had some concern about it. Because, it doesn't, it's not an arbitrary thing, it's a fluctuating thing. For instance, can you bring up, do you have the policy manual? Henry? Then just go to, well, I have page 24, I'm gonna change, this might be an old one. Or please. There. Okay, so, under maximum PTO accrual and carryover limits. It says employees may accumulate PTO balances up to 2 times the eligible accrual rate per year. Well, we kind of developed this early on in the process, and one of the concerns after working on the budget was because this isn't a set number and it's going to be different for every employee, maybe we should have every other business has a set number. I know some of them, it's 22 days, some of them maybe 30 days, but this one isn't set. And I think the reason I'd like to see a set a number is because then we know what our long-term liability is if somebody decides to leave, and we know how much we gotta have on our books to cash them out. So, or more than one person leaves or something, it's just a matter of financial management. So I guess I'm open to suggestions. I guess what I think we need to do is define a cap. And it needs to be a standard cap for everybody, all the employees. So then the question that begets itself is, what's that number gonna be? So, I know standard consulting firms typically say 20 to 25 hours, but yet you can roll over 40 hours. But that 40 hours has to be used too in that window. So So that there's only a certain number of hours on the books for everybody, so that we know what our financial commitments are.
Say 20 to 40 hours a unique days.
Days, you're right, thanks. Yeah,
Well, I can tell you with the feds, it's 240 hours for a year, but then also, there's a distinction between annual leave and sick leave with the feds, so that your annual leave, sick leave is a whole separate category. So it's 30 days of vacation. Sick leave.
With the state, they don't, ever have a limit on sick leave. Then it's a 2-year amount for annual. I don't know what to try to do.
But is it also an understanding that they don't cash out sick leave at the same rate that they do vacation, so the liability is different between the two?
It is, so the state cashes out sick leave at a quarter of the base rate. So it's based on the base rate, it's quarter of the base rate. And, then annuals the maximum. So what we have here, if you look up at the, you go down to the table. So the board had a discussion about how to do PTO payouts. And what I did here is separated out typically what the regular distribution would be over the course of the year, being sick leave versus annual. And then I originally had suggested doing what the state does, which is do the 25% for that portion that would be contributed to sick leave, and then 100% for the portion that would be contributed to annual. And then through board discussion, because the tribes pay out, I think it's full amount for PTO. That
They'll give you the, depending on the department, natural resource department, you can do a full payout, or you'll have the option of receiving your paychecks,
okay,
regular paychecks until that's paid out, which saves you on taxes,
right.
which is a real nice option.
For sure, yeah, and so through that discussion, the board changed the 25% up to 50%, which was a couple, just reminding you of the discussion that led to this. And if we had if you look at a Word document, you can see there's comments inside that, where I had clarified how state visit versus this payout. So this structure is based on trying to parse out things at that modified amount. There's 100% for 50%.
That's what.
But it's combined, there's no separate.
Yeah.
It's not separate
But
PTO.
during the year, if you go over that, then you have to bring it back down to
Yeah, by the end of the year, it's use or lose, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're over that, it's use or
that.
lose.
If you don't use it, you'll lose it, so.
Well, that's there's only so much you can carry over.
I couldn't quite hear you.
There's only so much, if you set a limit, there's only so much you can carry over your year, so there would be a use or lose scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for the feds, there's no payout for sick leave, just. Yeah, just hanging out there.
Yeah, we used to do sick and annual, and they combined it into a paid time off for the whole thing. And then the longer you work, once you get so many years in, you go up to a maximum of 12 hours of legal pay period.
So if we were to, use the base rate, and then multiply that by 2, that's 416 hours. And that would be able to, what did I just say, that's
where did you get the base rate at?
the base rate of 8 hours per pay period. 6 papers a year. It's 208 hours per year. Times 2 is 416.
$52 days. That's twice what the standard, more than twice what the standard of the private industry is.
Can you walk me through your percentages? You said earlier that, between years is 84%. You were saying that sick leaves with 25%, so how does that actually go up higher? If 25% is dedicated to sick leave?
Because I dedicated 12 days per year or 96 hours for sick leave. And so the more somebody works here, they would get more leave, more annual leave per year. And so I had sick leave at standard and added, that's why it's like. Done this down to, just go with the something similar.
An hourly number, not an hourly number, but like a 250 hours would be something easy to track across the board for everybody. If, say like it would be 200 hours for PTO and 50 hours for sick leave, and everybody gets this maximum, and it's something that we easily track, and it's across the board. It's, because it's easy to calculate. I can run the numbers for projections for staffing. It's not a percentage, it's not an extra, something that we can sell up, basically.
Sure.
Before the tribe combined sick and annual, I think we were at about 250 for annual.
It's about an industry standard. I've seen it's about 250 to 260, when you don't separate it out.
And then they'd pay off annual. And you could accrue unlimited sick. They didn't get paid out.
Right.
Well, 250 is 31 days, 31.25 days. So.
Well, it sets a limit.
What did you say, Ron? There was sick leave accrual and PTO accrual too.
Like the 200 hour would be what you would consider your vacation leave, and then 50 hours would be what you would, say respectively would be sick leave. And so, that's allowing them to carry over a portion of that sick balance or whatever.
So mechanically ours works right now. If somebody leaves, they get paid out for sick, paid out for annual, but not sick.
We don't have a separation, it's combined. So right
Yeah.
now, they get paid out 78 or 76%, or however you're looking at it, up to 84%, whatever they have on the books. We don't even have a cap. So if somebody has 400 hours and they've been getting 20 years of service, we're paying them out 84%. It's really hard to predict that in the future for budgeting, just like Roger said, because it's an unknown thing, because who's gonna leave and what balance they have. If we have a fixed number, we know that we're carrying that over, it's gonna be on our books, it's something that we can budget every year for.
When we went from separated sick and annual leave, that's when we went to the 1,000 hours. Yeah, so that we capped it at 1,000. We did cap it, but it was capped at 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
Well, but sure help from a budget standpoint, if we had a known quantity, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we've been budgeting 35% for a lot of different factors, for the fringe benefits, for insurance, for this, that. And then we're also have, the 6% match with the PERS, and so we have a lot of different factors, and so we have some savings right now, but if everybody actually balanced that all the way out, the full amount of fringe benefits, we'd probably be close to 32%. And so right now we have the savings, because not everybody's using that benefit, but we also have this kind of as a holdout, like, what's gonna happen?
Unknown cost.
Right,
Yeah.
we can't budget for this, it's not a fixed number.
So if we talking about being able to budget for the number, okay. So what if we look at a couple different number options and have them calculate what that budget would look like then, and bring it back? Okay. So we have actual numbers to look at. I mean, so what are the numbers? What are the caps you want to consider?
Well, I think,
Sounds like thousands of stamps.
well, I think Rhonda, so I have the one about 200 for PTO and 50 for sick, I think that would be one set of
But we
numbers.
don't separate them.
We wouldn't separate them, yeah, we
They
would.
just say 250.
Yeah.
250 and what, 400? Two different numbers? To look at for budgeting?
And do you want them broken down to each category that you have here?
Well, at that point, would it matter?
I
I
don't
mean,
think
if there's
so.
a cap,
Yeah,
It does
yeah.
not, I
No.
guess, if there's a cap, it does not matter,
No, we just need to,
just get
we
the
need
numbers.
to know what the budget, I mean,
So I
what does
guess,
that mean to the budget if it means we're doing it for budgeting purposes? What would that look like?
do you, want it for each salaried person or hourly person currently?
Yeah, I think we need to,
Okay.
I guess the question that poses is, do we also want to look at any empty positions?
Well, what I was gonna say is just on our budget, we've got a list of positions, so
Okay,
just use the list of positions.
Some of them are vacant,
Yeah, even if
Yeah,
it's vacant.
yeah.
Just
All
the
the
one-
positions, yes.
Still unfilled.
Yep.
okay,
Bring that back, take a look at it.
Okay.
And I doubt if we'll do 1,000.
but, you know,
That's so.
kudos for going there.
I know, that's outstanding.
Yeah,
Kudos to the tribe.
we don't have the budget there.
Well, in the spirit of full sarcasm, it's like, you know, you're looking at years of service. It's just like dog years, like if you work here for that many years without a window, is 3 years really like 10? So.
Or mushroom units.
Oh, I worked there 3, but it felt like 10. It's outside.
Good enough on that one then? All right, 5.3. Says no comments were received.
Mr. Chairman, did we want to do 5.2?
We scratched that.
Okay, thank you.
That was during the agenda approval.
Okay.
Is there something on 5.3 then?
Mr. Chairman, board members, you have had, the 3.15.
Any more comment or questions or discussion? How about public comment then? Any public to comment for the record? No public online, no public in the audience, so no public available to comment. If you're ready, board members will take a motion to approve that.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the 3.15 as modified.
Motion by George,
Second.
second by Georgia, all in favor, say aye.
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 I'll always have heartburn about just working straight 10 hours and not taking any lunch break. Just think it's good to get away for a while, so that's what we have here, is just a solid 10 hour workday. So I guess I don't.
At this point, the action is on what we eliminated. If we want to go back and review that, we can come back and review that at another meeting.
Okay, well, then I'm gonna vote no.
It was your idea to eliminate it.
To what? No, not lunch.
No. All we're doing is taking action on,
Oh, is it within this? one?
yeah,
Oh.
That's
yeah,
what we'll have to
okay. Oh, I
public
thought we were taking hostage.
No.
on this whole thing.
no.
Oh, okay, then I vote yea.
Okay, for clarification, we have, we go back around, George,
Yes.
Georgia, Roger,
Yes.
I'm a yes. All right, we'll approve. Thank you. Board business. Well, Haley's are, you just need to hear from us. Do you have anything for us on that? I think the one of the, as I mentioned, and for the, just thinking about it for, item A, we dealt
Oh,
with.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, the conversation about what your decision would be is not appropriate for the meeting. This was put on the agenda by me just to provide the public with an update that the board held an oral argument on
Okay.
Tuesday. I thought it went very well. Both parties were present, presented their argument. And the board heard those arguments and took that under advisement and will issue an opinion, within 60 days. That's it.
And that's it for the record, because there's no public available to hear it at the moment, so if anybody cares to. Let's look at our video, they can see that, all right. Other items if needed, anything else? Okay. Moving on, Office of Water Engineer.
Mr. Chairman, board members. Let's see, got a couple of documents in your packet. We can start off with the water rights report. If you want it. And Sydney, you have anything you'd like to bring up about the water rights report, Mr. Brown?
I had no items, no, most of our, efforts are going towards, the 60 tax and the, suspended.
So that's stock water and registrations. Stock water associated with the CITT project.
Yes,
All right. So,
that number is gone, I consider it a massive size.
all right, so. Got some numbers in front of you. Do you have any questions, board members?
None yet.
All right, we also now have a bar chart here. That, helps take a look at the traffic. Got walk-ins, phone calls. And, these are T1 numbers since we started tracking as of. When did we start tracking this? March. So this just gives you an idea of how the week goes for us.
That's a, the total number?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, what?
Those are total numbers? Or weekly number?
These are total numbers. Yeah, these are per day, and we've got a monthly breakdown. Also. Which is this one of the smaller balls.
Keeping you busy.
I was busy on Monday.
Monday's a busy day, right? No, Friday's not a busy day. All right, do you have any questions about the traffic report?
I just want, you got, okay, I'm just looking at this, 40 people come in on a Monday. How does that get distributed over the course of the day? We only got a few offices. Where do all these people go? Like, do they have to sit and wait? Is it, just mechanically, how do you get people in and out and through? And do you have enough, I'm just going back to this architect discussion we're gonna have, like, those are some bodies, that's a lot of bodies coming in, where do you put them?
Well, I don't think that's 40 in a single day.
It's from March.
Oh, that's from March. I am not wearing contacts to another, but just put that out there. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your help.
That's like over 4 months or.
Yeah, the other one is, yeah, total. That's why I said total or month.
Days a week, and it's a 5-month picture,
Yeah.
so it's.
Oh,
it's
it's
for
5
5
months
months.
over the month.
Yeah.
Am I reading it right now?
Yes, you are.
I have the right one. Yep. Thank you for all your help. That could help today. Okay, so like what's a normal day? Like how many folks come in on a day? And do you have enough space to put them somewhere?
We do so
Okay.
far, and, right now what happens is the first person that gets busy was, the office right up front where Sydney sits most of the time. That's where people will come almost always first, so she tends to be the one feeling, the first point of contact for the most part. Then depending on how busy things are, start pushing people around to other, staff members, which sometimes it would be, especially if there's something complicated. And so, but really, that front office sees most of the people, spill things over into these tables in here sometimes, or the other office where right now Christy and Amanda have been joint teaming that other front office, one, because it's got Linda, and two, because they have been super effective at doing a lot of the water rights database work, working together like that. That's been a huge, huge success for us on the amount of work that moving on that database and the general process of going. And so they seem to be, we work pretty good. I mean, we need another person. I'll get to that in a second, but yeah.
So again, I'm just thinking about this building planning thing coming up. When you have people come in off the street, they want to walk through an application. Is there ever any need for confidentiality? So I'm hearing, I'm seeing a headline.
I think there would be.
Yeah, so, and we really aren't set up for that. Like, do you even have a door? Do you have a door?
Yeah, I have a door.
You have a door? Yeah. Okay, I need to go back and look and see. So you can shut the doors. And Christy and Amanda can shut the door. But Dustin, you can.
We don't really want to talk about confidential stuff, just to be clear.
Okay.
Like our office is a public office, and we're not
Not set up for
collecting
that anyway.
a bunch of confidential information. Sometimes people will like, I don't know, my neighbors doing this, but don't tell them I told you or something. That happens, but there's no illusion of privacy here.
Okay.
Biggest deal is just overhearing everybody with that. that type of, cross chatter is a little hard to
Yeah,
manage
absolutely.
sometimes.
Okay.
If we do have, some privacy issue or a meeting where it really just needs to get, like some technical work that needs to go get somewhere else to be done. Oftentimes, we just move that upstairs or into this office, depending on who's, what staff, are here.
It would help if there was like a conference, room, right? Dedicated conference. room. Did they
Yeah,
have that in Missoula?
They did, and you remember I sent an email out and told them to specifically look, and I actually had them look at two different conference rooms. There's one smaller conference room that's super handy. There's also another conference room that can grow big. You played to see it, spent way too many meetings there. And it can grow really big so that you can use it like this room gets used, or you can also partition it out smaller if needed. Also, though, the big deal with the Missoula office is that each one of the offices, opens into a great area. So you need to do work where you're not talking and everybody's having to listen to you. When they close those offices, there's a class, one of those, see who's in there, but not hearing as good.
Got it.
Need a big closet with bright lights and no windows.
Can I ask you a question? Do they have, the way the state's set up, their accounting department is not in that same building, right?
It's in Helen.
So is that something that's gonna be considered is like the needs for accounting or even, a space for an accounting department in our new building?
Every function we have needs to be considered.
All of that. Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
sure.
for letting me pepper you with questions.
No,
I'm curious.
it's good. I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to see that facility to get an idea. It's easier than like, just what doesn't work, to see something that will work. Now, the forestry building does have their own accounting because that's where the PRC forestry headquarters is.
Mhm.
It's just that the Water Resources Division headquarters happens to be in Helen, but they are located in similar offices, however, that office door is bigger.
And
And
windows.
and when they have a window. It's not super fancy, the office space in Helen is definitely less desirable than one to, with those remodeled. You see all the logs that are pillars for the outdoor area and all of the wood trim, those were all logs were covered with drains, the Motown Reservoir. And so that's kind of a cool aspect. If you ever go there, you see this big.
We won't get any of those though.
Iron was,
No.
all right, so,
Kelly's running late.
Yeah, you need to get out of here.
You're a minute late.
It's all good.
so you heard on the water rights front, we have been doing a lot of work on state-based registrations, both the programmatic work and the actual moving of those registrations. I've also spent quite a bit of time talking to tribes about how we're gonna handle their registrations and some of the technical, we've been building some technical products to make the filing for those, go well. We also are on the cusp of issuing a finance system compact water application. So we're working towards, showing what that final draft product is gonna look like, and that'll set the stage for future decisions out of the office. So we're working through that. On the staffing front, got Dustin here, he's getting onboarded and excited to have him, and we will be adding a new intern Monday.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah. We'll be adding a new intern on Monday. So that'll be fun. They're gonna work half the time in the office and then half the time remotely. Part of their internship is exploring how well remote work meshes with natural resource management type jobs. So it's not that good. George is involved in this, so anyway, we'll be excited to, introduce, Stephen, at one of your next meetings, when you can get him here. The other thing is that I am gonna be looking to try to do what I can to, assess some of the vacancy savings for our staffing and see, where we're at on a, being able to recruit another position. And, right now, I think it's like in between, there being a water resource specialist or possibly picking up another, less experienced hydrologist or that type of specialist position, but I am looking forward to working with folks to figure out what we can commit to that. I also have some more firm understanding of where we're at with our contract services. And so trying to get everything routed over and divided up so that we have an understanding of what that formula and salary would look like is, I think, that'd be really useful, so we can try and do another. GIS projects are taking off, thanks to this guy here. And I understand you might have to skew out because you got some other obligations, but we're very excited to be embarking on some technical projects that are going to help the office out and manage our workflow. And, our IT security protocols are all now in place. You'll remember you passed moving forward with that, and that's all up and running. I'm getting more reports of illegal uses here in the office. So we're gonna have to figure out how to manage that. Some of these are gonna be less formal complaints. Water trucks filling up off the river and wells getting drilled without authorizations, and that's gotta be some ongoing work. I've got a wireless update for you. I'm gonna let you know that we have done significant completions, and if you can open the spreadsheet that's in the share folder. As of the end of the week, we will have the state. So we've got a lot of green completed stuff that's up there these were significant projects for the database. As of the end of the month here, the state will now have the ability to do the ownership updates on the water rights that we're issuing, the appetite water rights. That's going to be significant. That will also mean that we're going to terminate one of our forms. We currently have a form to update pending water right applications. You remember 620F, and it's in the folder as well, if you don't mind opening it. And so the state has asked that we also give them jurisdiction over ownership updates for our pending water rights, that they'll do that through virus. So as soon as that gets online, we will stop accepting this form for ownership updates of applications. Okay. We do have additional significant work on other types of ownership updates, including trust transfers and ownership updates for water rights on trust properties. We'll keep working through that. I'll let you know when we get that in front of us. And there's I'll back over to the spreadsheet now, so everybody can get us around. And let's look at the critical need section. These are just kind of our ongoing critical needs. We've got a few fixes to some things that got built out that need to happen, such as when we issue a domestic allowance, our typical issuance is an up to 2.4 acre foot or up to 10 acre foot. We need to be able to bypass that statement and put an actual volume in. Most of them don't need that kind of work, but if somebody has to come in and do a reduction or get a smaller issuance because they're up against that maximum annual volume amount, we need to have that level of detail. You have any questions about any of the wires, sir?
There's more curiosity on the ownership update mechanically. How does that happen? What's the coordination between us and the applicant and the state regarding how that gets updated?
Sure, so when we get into the water rate application, we immediately put that into Virus as pending. And so that means that the owner information and the geocode information are gonna be in there. And then, we would instruct somebody who needs to change that to file 608. Also, the state will automatically receive the transfer notices for parcel transfers if any of those geocodes get filed for an ownership transfer. So the state will have two pieces, really three, because they'll have our office prompting them as well when we've identified that ownership updates need to happen. But they'll have the filings of the 608s, they'll have Department of Revenue letting them know that geocodes undergoing a title change. And then they'll have our office saying so-and-so has got an open application that it needs to get.
And then when they update, there's some notice back to us that it's been updated or?
No, we do not get that. What happens is it just happens in the database, and when we look up the geocode again, we will see that an ownership update did occur, but there's no feedback for us. Typically, when we are sending somebody to the NRC, it's because they need to manage their ownership before we will take action on whatever their request is. There's an array of different water right activities where we need you to have accurate ownership before we will proceed. So we do get some feedback typically from the applicant in those scenarios where we have open work and they're still under their timeline issues when that happens. So we try to get NRC to proceed as quick as possible because our timelines are tighter than the state typically manages.
So have you gone off of all your Excel spreadsheet tracking to just rely on wireless stand now?
No, and I don't think we ever will actually. And that is typically the practice that happens in the regional offices, is that when they get applications in, they still maintain an activity log that shows the different timelines for the, these pending influx applications. And I don't see us getting away from that, mostly because the reporting function for Wireless for that type of effort's a little clunky. And it doesn't really give you the ability to just pop that thing open and do like a Control F search, where you can just find the owners immediately right in that one big spreadsheet and find, that helps us track it. I don't see us getting away from that just yet.
What about, so just from my understanding, so when you get an application in, the first thing you do is you enter Iris with all the pertinent information that's on it.
We do, yep.
And then
It had assigns a water right number too, by the way, so it's actually an application number, and that is the same as the water right number, that's a main
and
function.
then that's the priority date. And then as you're processing that application, do you continuously enter new information into Virus as it's being processed or?
No, there's usually just an initial entry, and then once we get things buttoned up to where it's gonna be, we're not putting in volumes or other details at that time typically. And, and then they're just, they sit there in pending status. And so we manage the application events, but it's not until we get through the issuance that, the final priority date and,
So that's
and other
when you get to part B, then you can actually hit print it and print out a certificate.
Yep, it's issued. Yeah, and then through the report function, print off that, and then we will print as many of those as we have owners plus one for office records. And sign them, they're signed and witnessed on the issuance, so it's different than an abstract.
Yeah.
And At present, you can't look up the pending water rights on the database. We have a tendency to want to keep it that way for now. Because we don't want to give people an illusion that they have something
Yeah,
before there's an actual issuance. But we're working through that, and I have also put an open request in the DNRC to convert all of the pending registrations, ones that were received during the 180-day registration period, they labeled those as pending instead of suspended. So I'd like them to move those to suspended so that they could still be out there available until we actually do the registrations, because they are kind of a unique
yeah.
a unique thing compared to something filed with our office.
So you can even then print the abstract and do whatever. So like if I was to just go on the virus now and look at the water rights on, I could find ones that you guys have actually issued.
Yep.
And I could look at the file and see all that information.
The scanned records are something that we're working into right now, and that'll be part of when we talk about the documents and the records retention. There's a special coding system that, we'll be using, and we're gonna scan those records that everything that's been issued, and then we will get there. So that is a work in progress right now.
So those they're not entered into virus yet, but do you scan those things and save them electronically? Or are they just paper copies?
So far, a lot of our records are still in the paper copies, but we hadn't had until recently somewhere to send them.
Yeah,
And also, more than, like, what we have over there, as soon as we get the intern in, we're gonna have a big project where we reorganize all of the filing structure, because we didn't have water right numbers before. We had everything organized by Excel load sheets, which is different than the tracking Excel sheet. The load sheets is where we would put the information so that the database manager or the state just load it into the whole system. We had 11, 12, how many load sheets? 12 load sheets. So we have all of our records right now are organized by the load sheet number. We want to get away from that. Instead, we'll shift over to organizing everything by the water rights number. And that will help us, now that we have access to the database. Then, once we get that organizational structure set into place, that's when we're going to start focusing on getting things moved into the digital world. Some of that is a little hard for us to decide, because we have part A and part Bs that might be 2 years apart. And,
yeah.
we don't really want to go scanning something and then having to rescan it. So, but, so it's clean when we issue it. Of course, we can scan the whole record. But we're in the middle of trying to figure out how we'll handle that part still. And,
Well, I was just worried about, there's still paper copies and some fire came through here, we would be SOL. But, I just thought we were scanning all that. That's what you didn't have the intern do all there.
yeah, we recognize that we didn't have quite the ideal arrangement, but,
Yeah.
and we also don't think this floor will hold fireproof file cabinets either, so, there's, I mean, anyway, we're trying to do the best we can with what we've got. We at least have the records, database records, are all digitally housed. It's just the original, filing paperwork, we don't have that.
So are all the staff now, they're all capable of using virus and everything?
Dustin is just gonna get his, numbers soon, and then he'll need to undergo some training.
So does the individual, just trying to understand how all the office dynamics work, so does the individual that processed the application then do the virus, or does somebody else do the virus?
Typically, the individual that's processing the application does the virus, and then somebody else, does we have 3 designees in the office, including myself right now. And we try to shift to where the designee who is gonna like check it over and concur is different than the person who did the authorization. And that gives us 2 sets of eyes on every application that moves through and increases our, ability to have less errors. It's not perfect, but it's way better to have it set up like that.
All of the record keeping problem issues we have can be added into our building planning.
Yeah, it was a big old scanner, I think is what's gonna happen, and, because, like I said before, I'm gonna be pitching the idea that we're gonna primarily rely on digital, archives, and that once something gets issued, it's gonna go away, and so the only kinds of records that we'll have will be smaller group of active water rights, and yes, I will seek some kind of, an area that has to be some document protection. In the building, that's on the list. Some other, stowing them in somebody's garage. But I have actually seen riskier situations. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, over the years, it's developed a lot. Happy to keep answering these, please showcase how much work everybody here's done. I'm moving that organizational level and just the physical file management and the processing. So. Less interesting, but we wanted to go ahead and show you, we have some signage. Considerations. Oh, no, there's some. These are some of the ideas that we came up with in relation to discussions that we had about public spaces when we had Ashley here coaching us, and we didn't know you saw something here that you'd like. I think Chrissy put these together, right? Christy Brooks put these together, so that's Christy. And I don't know, it's any something like this strike your fancy, something that you'd like to see?
What did the staff like?
You guys have a favorite?
Do you have a strategic place for these?
We would put the employee access only ones for all of these on the outside of the cubicle walls, as I think was discussed. We would do the employee access only unless there's a board meeting is in progress and invited by staff on that door right there, so that people aren't just walking in here when there's not a board meeting. And yeah, a couple other places, not including the foyer is going to be public space, and yeah, that's just us trying to follow up on that idea. All right, well, I don't sense any big direction shifts, so we'll just plod along. Consider yourselves informed. We'll put one of the signs and go with it. We also, in your packet, oh, there, not in your packet, but up here, we did, is there also a little packet? No, all right. We have that's from the last meeting we had. Just like yeah. Okay. We did follow up with this infectious disease guidelines. I don't know how much involvement you want to have on reviewing this, but that was what folks suggested instead of putting things into the personnel policies. So basically, if you want me to, I can distribute this to the board members for your comments, or
Haven't we had that already?
We had it in your package, but we didn't get to that agenda item, so, yes, you've seen it.
Yes.
So it might have been several packages.
Yeah.
You guys want copies?
No.
No.
No, it's just, okay. Maybe I'm just sleep deprived and it's late and we've been in a meeting a long time, but when I see the title infectious disease guidelines, it reads like how to get an infection. Instead of preventative.
All right, so we'll do,
I'm sorry, just English teacher stuff.
But I don't think I got it.
Step one.
right, we can come up with a better title.
You should be paying attention to anything I'm saying right now.
Maybe instead of guidelines, prevention.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, that one word change.
Or prevention guidelines.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Prevention guidelines. Sounds good.
Great. All right, thank you. 7.5 also tying back into the training that we got from SU. I'm gonna hand this over to Sydney Palmer and she'll explain what happened.
Yeah, I reached out to a couple different newspapers on, posting when our board meetings are. The Turkington is going to be no charge, and they'll do it for us. The Valley Journal, they'll do no charge as well, but they'll only do it if they have room in the newspaper that way. And then the Lake County Winter and Advertiser does charge for it.
What did they charge?
They said it depended on the length of the ad.
The leader and who?
The Leader and Advertiser.
My computer said, or I'd actually provide you with an actual, to-date advertising. Advertising has been an expense that we did not accurately predict. And so moving forward, we need to think about that for our new 2026 budget. Sure.
Yes, we do. So we'll definitely hit up the free ones, but as we get into that, we're gonna have to have a longer lead time about knowing when the next meetings are gonna be. And we'll keep it simple with a date and a link, so we can still adjust things from the point in which we distribute things to the newspaper, but you'll see us trying to manage a little more lead time towards scheduling meetings. I know that that's hard for everybody, but
No, that's fine. I just wondered, how long do you think it's gonna be before we get to the point where running down the newspaper is just no longer even necessary? I mean, I get that we're not there yet, but
Well, that segues well into my next comment, which was, what about all the other media out there? Do we use any of it, or should we use any of it?
Has the board considered like a Facebook account? Like an actual social media account?
Yeah, once we start that, it should be Facebook and
Instagram.
all the other, yeah.
Oh, I need to do a Facebook.
It's a lot of work and I'm not volunteering.
Yeah.
But it's a one thing that people do currently use, and if you wanted to cross-post on like Mission Valley Safety Awareness, which has almost 15,000 members, that's gonna be quicker than the newspaper for that. And I'm sure Cindy can attest to that.
Oh, yeah, but, in the open meeting, she did address the Facebook one, and that she highly advised against it.
Oh, did she?
Okay.
You just can't control.
if you go look at the DRC ones, I see Washington. Against it. But,
I wouldn't go there.
anyway. We have, again, we do have a good listserv, and we allow people to come and sign up, and we send out notices that way, and we will hit these free newspapers and do our best to continue working on that front. I think most people who are really interested in water rights know how to find information about them.
Would you guys be interested in maybe a sidewalk sandwich board that says meeting in progress or public meeting today or something that maybe we can put right there in front of that handicap zone that everybody can drive by and see it and get used to seeing it?
Perhaps.
Trying to get people interested in local government.
Free coffee.
Yeah. Well, I gave a suggestion at the last meeting, nobody liked it.
Remind us.
Free beer.
Oh.
It's like, that would be weird.
Beer,
Okay, like, oh, we can't say that.
Yeah, free
You're
food,
kidding.
yeah, all right.
All right, last item under the water engineer report is, a training. You guys should tell me if you want me to try to sign up to this training. I'm not sure that there's time enough to do it anymore, but, I've got, a handout for you. Haley had suggested that I go to this administrative law training about fair hearings. But, it's in Reno in August. But, I will let you know that if I do this, it is expensive and I'll be gone for a while.
It's 10 days long.
I did not design and training. It makes it, it sounds pretty intense. Got to
Yeah.
attend the class on Saturday even.
Wow.
You know, I know you guys are working through, our first project, but, like I said, even if you decided to approve this, I do want you to understand that I may not be able to go anyway because of the timeline.
Thoughts, comments? I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this. I've never heard of a 10-day training.
At the National Judicial College, been there, done that, yeah,
You've done it.
It's good.
Was it 15?
yeah. But I don't know it's this specific training. They do all kinds because that's where I went for like judges training.
Gotcha. It seems like anything bearing on legal decisions warrants it though, right? I mean, this is huge. I have no idea why it'd be important for sure.
Quick question, then would you need a rental car?
That is, I'm trying to figure that out. It depends on which hotels are available when, you know, like,
Shuttle it back and forth?
there's an option to just try to Uber around or rental car under miscellaneous travel. And I might have to low fault the rental car cost, because I just did some rental car,
They're expensive.
work, and they have some secret fees that
Yeah.
when I made this, you know, I kind of went off of the initial, website estimates and I learned a little bit over these last couple of trips that I have taken that there's all sorts of crazy taxes and
They're
fees
change, yeah.
and things that are associated. So I actually would tell you that, you know, this is even more along the lines of slightly over $7,000 in total costs. And I also, you know, as well as I do, that the plane tickets are the change hourly.
Flexible.
So I've done what I could on my best estimates here, but
It's probably gonna go up closer to it gets to that date.
it's weird. Sometimes it doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, and especially if you do the last minute, and it's almost like you go down a little bit if they
I
have.
haven't had that luck when booking travel for other people. I've
Well-
always had to go the other direction.
Right, and Reno may be a problem because it's I guess apparently quite a destination place as.
And of course, you'll apply for one of these scholarships.
Yes, I will
Just
apply
in
for
case.
scholarship.
Just in case, you never know.
Yeah, no, they encouraged, I did talk to them, they encouraged that if I was gonna go, I should apply. And that also, they had a deadline on that too, I can't remember what, it's a better,
You know,
I'll still apply. But it is like 2 weeks away, you know, by the time this is said and done.
Yeah.
At a time when we have some new staff, and so, I mean, the time is not really super ideal.
yeah, and then they probably offer at other times.
A lot of your personal stuff going on too, you think
So
that's gonna.
we can approve, but you know, it might be that they're I don't know if they offer this annually or quarterly, or
They'll be around next year.
they'll be around again, but,
Yep.
what are you guys gonna do?
I guess we need to know if we can afford it. Right?
It would definitely be above what we have set aside for the training budget. Because we already have, paid for the water seminar. And then we have that fund that is allocated, so we have 7,500 for conferences and training for the board and 7,500 for staff. And the percentage of that is already allocated.
So maybe this is something we need to start adding into the annual budget, isn't it?
Yes,
Then we know we've got that in. Okay.
I have no idea how much it costs, but.
Yeah, how would you? Yeah, no.
So I'll be honest, it's almost like, makes me almost blush.
It is what it is.
Expensive.
would it be beneficial to like budget it in for 2 people to go, because then it's a shared rental car and. I don't know what kind of training this is, but
Well, it's for being the hearings examiner, basically, and that is delegated to Ethan's responsibility.
gotcha,
So
okay,
really, it's a one pony show.
okay.
I guess we don't wanna put you in a spot where if we sign up for this, then you have some personal conflicts that you have to forfeit it, so.
Well, if we take action, he's not signed up, I think we just authorize him to go if he can manage it.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't have to go.
no. You don't have to go, or you can just think about doing it next year too, or whatever.
Do they have a deadline for registration?
They wanted me to do it, full 2 weeks ahead of time, and so I would be within it a little bit, I think, at barely making the registration deadline.
Do they not refund or only refund a portion if you can't make it?
I could ask that, and obviously, trip insurance on plane tickets or whatever would be fine. I don't know, it's a chance of it, I but it's also a single, it's, I was out there. But, you know, yeah, I mean, I think I will know a little bit more. Yeah, probably by this weekend, in terms of my personal obligations, I appreciate you. I won't sign for this unless I'm certain that I would be able to go.
Aside from that, the painting question is the budget, then.
Yeah, I guess that's my only hesitation is can we afford it? And then if we can, then I don't have a problem with you going, but certainly. It's just, can we afford it? So. But definitely we should budget for it in the upcoming budget. And
Yeah,
make this.
and we're already through the 3rd quarter, so we'll be doing a revised budget in another quarter, so.
I wonder how many hearings we're gonna end up doing. Maybe
Me too.
Unknown,
I know.
not something we can predict. Ethan, what do you think? Should we give you approval or you wanna hold off?
I can tell you that I don't feel comfortable doing it if I didn't have your approval. It's over my allocated amount. So
Yeah.
there's that firm line there. I can also tell you that I won't sign up for it if I can.
Well, you're also signed up for the water block, sorry.
I am.
Yes. Maybe next year. Swap them. Okay. Or something. It's up to you. Is there anybody you can talk to find out what you would get out of it? Besides, hey, she probably hasn't been to it.
She what?
She hasn't been to that course, actually.
No, she's the one who brought us my attention.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if it's actually attended it, and I didn't know until just now that chairman had gone. You went to that actual facility?
No, facility, yeah, but not this training.
Not this training, but you did go to that facility.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, when you read about it, when you talk to them, it seems like a training for people that are, you might not see. What you know.
Well, is it just once a year, or is it multiple?
I did not find any other, times that this is, they do have other courses, but they're all pretty. And then, so. I'm also fine if you want me to just, pull off.
their courses are regular, I just couldn't tell you without looking how regular that one is. I mean, they don't just offer it once, they'll offer it again. Well, I think we'd all like you to go, I think if Beth tells us, we probably should hold off for now.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I'm leaning that way, I think, just
All right.
because of the numbers.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
Sure.
What else here? No action on that. All right, next meetings. I am not around on the 7th. You guys want to meet? Be around on the 27th. The other days.
I'm good on both days.
As far as I know, I'm available, but that could change.
Well, if you guys want to meet the 7th, I mean, that's fine with me, I just won't be here.
Well, the big thing that we would do at the next meeting would be to finalize those state-based registration policies.
I'm assuming Ken will be around, Roger, you want to move forward with the 7th or? I won't be on the 7th is all.
Since we just canned this, could we consider the 14th? Since we didn't do the training, the main reason that it said that I was avoiding the week of the 11th was, because of possible training. And so, I guess, could you consider the 14th, which would actually be better for our staff in terms of, that's pretty fast turnaround to have another meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What about the 13th? I continue to run into conflicts with my other board and I had to miss one of their meetings today for this. Our next one for the study board is the 14th, so if you do it on the 14th, that's fine. I'll just do it, but. Question on the 13th.
It works for me.
I'm good on 13th.
13th. So 13th. Wednesdays are not good for me, Thursdays are better.
Okay, all right, well,
I
we
don't,
can meet on Thursday, but just. I'll just let them know, like I did today. All right, so we'll
so,
do the 14th. Well, let's see, the 27th was gonna be a Wednesday anyway, so that wouldn't have worked for you then.
yeah, I was just gonna say, on the 27th, I was gonna propose the 20,
The 8th,
yeah.
so 14th,
14 for sure.
Roger?
Yeah.
14th, all right. 14th,
1:05? Or on the 14th, 1:05?
yeah. What's I hear difference?
Where does your other group meet, Clayton? Is it here in the mountain? Oh, all virtual? Got it.
Wow.
They're all over because we got people from various parts of Canada, people in DC, people around Montana. I mean, so it's all,
It's a time zone nightmare too.
yeah.
Do you want to tentatively set the 28th also then?
Fourteenth and twenty-eighth,
Is that a conflict for you, Clayton?
oh, it's the same conflict. It's the same,
It's the same. Does it meet every Thursday?
we have, yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you meet every Thursday?
every Thursday.
Oh, wow.
And I also have a committee meeting that we meet every Monday.
The reward for good work is more work, right? Okay,
I'm
so
okay with the 28th.
14 and 28.
Okay, fourteenth and twenty-eighth. And of course, I'll let Ken know.
Yep.
Okay. All right, George, anything else?
I'm good.
Georgia? Roger? Ethan?
Thank you for
Anything else? Nothing?
attention, all these things.
Motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
Motion by Roger,
Okay.
second by George, all in favor, say aye. Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you guys for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.